Let's milk this cow the best way we know how. Park Hill Projects, Chickapow.
It's Milk the Cow, the podcast number 5. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you've got around to listen to the last one. It's been an amazing response. Thank you very much for hitting us up. Sorry we haven't got it quite up on YouTube yet, but they will be available on new platforms coming up soon. I'd like to say a big shout out to Mike Cow in the house.
I haven't seen me dance yet, Robert.
Full of enthusiasm. Mickey C.
Hiya.
Mr. Man H. Always full of words.
Just a wave.
Eat your words. And we've got an action-packed show as per usual. Lots of things to get your juices flowing, things that are getting on your nerves and ours that we'd like to share with you in the next couple of hours. Without further ado, Mickey C, what you been up to?
This week, well, actually, I plucked my first pheasant this week.
You've always been a bit of a pheasant plucker.
Can you say that famous saying? Can you? I'm not a peasant plucker, I'm a pheasant plucker. So. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to the farm shop, pulled in, got some produce, come back out.
Where do you live? Like Greendale? Does Postman Pat deliver your fucking mail? Like,
it's semi-rural.
Is it what it is? I can talk.
You've got a semi-rural. You left some product in a poultry.
Sounds like an IRA drugs gang you run.
So I went in the farm shop. So I said to the vicar,
I thought that, ooh, would you like to come round for biscuits and some tea? Mrs. Miggins, it's going to provide a nice bog. Just put the crack on. Ooh, fondant fancies, paper doilies, that's his world.
So anyway, I came back out. And there was a pheasant.
In your fucking horse and trap, you cunt.
And there was a dead pheasant on the road, which wasn't there before I went in.
Was it heart still beating?
I thought, fresh. So and it looked fairly intact. So I thought, I'm gonna have that. Like, so I drove back round, got it, and it was fairly intact. So I thought, well, it's for the dogs mainly, because I like a bit of roadkill.
It was from a team of huskies.
And, so
God,
I went back, had a bit look on YouTube, see how you do it, and then I thought, oh well, fuck it, this'll go in a pie, this bastard. So it was actually quite easy to do.
All right.
Really? It was a nice tutorial.
I don't know about your sexual practices.
It was a nice tutorial on YouTube. Like, just, there's loads of you can watch. You can find out basically how to do anything now, can't you? Like,
here's the missionary position, as told by Roy Castle.
Here's how to fuck a pheasant.
So I got a bit of meat off that. It wasn't actually
as he winked off to me after.
Nah, babe.
It wasn't actually as intact as it looked like. It had a bit of scummage on one side.
Can I ask you which method you used? Did you actually pluck all the feathers individually, or did you use the Remy-out method where you skin it down the middle and then peel the pheasant?
It's sort of like you just pull it apart and it just comes apart, basically. You don't have to pluck each feather out individually.
I was asking to give you two options. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well,
A
please
or
be
B.
sorry.
So yeah, you just sort of pull it firmly apart, and it just obviously you've got to cut the wings off and cut the head off and all that shit.
Right.
But other than that, it's a bit gruesome, like, but
So in the end, did you end up having some of it yourself? Well, you said you made a pie.
No, I will. It's frozen.
All right, okay.
The dogs ate some of it and then had the shits for fucking 2 days.
The Japanese flag once again. It's the
hey dogs, you want to try some game?
So
be shitting out the fucking whole of your arse over the next 5 days.
Well, I should have cooked it for them, because huskies have got a bit of a sensitive stomach, I do believe.
All right.
But I just fed it raw.
Well, they have it. Oh, yeah. I think in Alaska they just lob entrails out of it.
Well, they're maybe more used to it, but in this sort of cosy little island, I think they're all a bit soft,
It sounds very cosy, the world that you paint with.
That's
you live like
instead of blighty.
Coming live and direct from the ghetto, you fucking transported in your fucking horse and trap.
So then another thing I did this week was went for an angry dog walk with none other than Mr. Mike Cow.
It wasn't angry. Right, hold on. Right.
What does an angry walk?
We're just essentially socialising with me and me dog. Effectively.
Bloody students fucking hitting park. I bet you're all on MCAT.
Bastards. No, it was actually up in the where we're originally from, but we won't triangulate any lizardry there. There's no gimmies out there in the perimeter because we're stoned immaculate. But what I will say is it only went on the turn after he didn't listen to me instructions, which were
There was no instructions. It didn't come with instructions of walk. Go on.
This is how bad it is. He doesn't even know there was instructions. The instructions were those. Michael, yes, I will come away on your walk. I do know the route that you mentioned, but we can't deviate from it due to the fact I've I've torn something from my shin and or I have a hairline fracture of the shin. Sorry about the burps there. I wasn't sure, he's obviously not fucking been listening to a word I said. What? Adam, don't jump in yet. I
thought it was what he's been up to.
we have an audience of literally 12 rave casualties who are desperate to hear the denouement of this story. The walk then involved a fucking river crossing, and his response was, well, I didn't know it was going to be like this, And I was like, well, it's been raining for fucking 6 hours, you twat. Eh?
1 day it rained, didn't it? 6 hours. Sorry, I thought you were going to say 6 days. But I
as
jumped
if by
in.
6 days on the run,
looking for a place to shag your bum. For any young people, that is 6 days on the run by, is it Congress?
Search and Destroy was the original people, I think, who did it.
Was it? Yes, you're right. A little bit of rave history off the back of our lovely country walk. So basically the denouement of the story is I slipped on this fucking thing, nearly fell in the river. Since me walk, I can't actually walk properly, but I am still doing 10k walks and all that. It hurts. Mickey takes us on some fucking Iron Man Stewart super off road.
Small stream. Go on.
I was a raging torrent. Anyway, there was 2 fucking wifeys behind me in the fucking Daft Hunter wellies. I didn't realise. Fucking slipped, ripped whatever I had left off me shins. Went, you fucking con, bastard! In pure agony, turned round. There's fucking Ponsonby Smythe, fucking 2 fucking wives behind me. Who were like, come along, Robbie Bracken, come along. Mickey looks just like, oh, you fucking played a blinder there. I was like, unrepentant at that point. He's like, you fucking stupid cunt. Why the fucking hell are you fucking bringing us fucking this way? And you just turned and just went, for a cup of tea. He'd said go for a cup of tea at his ex-lass's house. So anyway.
Essentially what really happened was I rang him and said, I'm taking the dog out. He says, we're going to Washington. So I'm like, right, fine. Obviously, it rained a bit.
This is version B of the truth I've just told.
Fell in the stream and then blamed it all on me. Absolutely shattered the idyllic fucking...
I didn't actually fall in the stream.
I mean, put it this way, when we left them, my 2 dogs sort of looked at us like, who the fuck was that, That was...
I mean, to cut a long story short and summarise the entire section by the medium of song, which is this. Take me to the river, and watch me fall down.
So what you been up to anyway then, Donald?
I had a lovely Sunday night, actually, which was very, very surprising. I went to see the Jungle Brothers, famous hip-hop band
brother.
From the 1980s, 1990s and the noughties, kind of getting on a bit.
That term, me, the fucking noughties.
Sorry, I know, it's just, what else do you call it? The O's.
The zeros.
The zeros. And basically, anyway, they came in and playing at Hoochie Coochie, and it wasn't just a good gig; it was a fucking outstanding gig. And they're average age was sort of about 35. There was some young people in place, but it was just lots of people who'd obviously grown up on their music and just out for a night. And it was a real cross spectrum of people as well. Very, very, very kind of different. It was just a good vibe, lots of jumping around. But obviously, when Girl Al House here, their classic, came
you
on,
in my hut now, say what?
Exactly, and also when they actually did the Aphrodite version of
Fuck Off, did
they did it, and played some, then finished up the set with them rapping over drum and bass. It was just a real nice finisher, great party thing, and it's just, you wouldn't expect it on a Sunday night. Thankfully, apparently there's another Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 is going to be doing a show there in the middle of November, I think.
Turn into a canny little venue, that place,
honestly, it's just what used to be One-Eyed Jacks, and also Blue Coyote, the kind of Tex-Mex restaurant across the way from the old fire station on Pilgrim Street. But anyway, it was just a really, really good atmosphere. And
Little bit of a jazz cafe,
the bit that really, for me, like finished off of why it was a great night was at the very end of the gig they played and all that, and they were like just laughing about what a good vibe it was. And I honestly said, I really, really enjoyed myself tonight. We're just going to come and chill out with you. So they just basically got out, and the DJ played for another 2 hours, playing just like a variety of like early 90s hip hop, late 80s hip hop, and they were just like not like on some like, you know, they're gonna get the fuck on type kind of thing or trying to get stuck in them. We're just like dancing with everybody and anybody and just having a laugh and just dead down to earth and just having dead like, you know, just good banter with them and stuff like that. And then they're just like, one of them just got a load of like sambucas, went to the bar and was just like, yeah, anybody if they fancy one of these they can, you know, but not in a like a really show-offy kind of way. It was just like, if you want to you can have one and stuff like that.
Good, like,
and it was just it was just a great, it was a Sunday night, never expected to be that good. And yeah, I think like Hoochie Coochie's got a great idea going on there. The only thing they need to throw out is not having the toilets right next to the dance floor, because you think you've got this amazing spot with loads of legs to go akimbo, and unfortunately not, because some bastard's trying to get you to go into the pisser. That's the only downside. But yes,
Lion of Charlie.
Yes. Did have a great night anyway.
Sounds pretty good, that. Like, I feel a bit like I've missed out there.
I'm still suffering for it now, like from my legs. Like I dance so much, like, you know.
You've sold it well. I would have liked to have went there, but unfortunately I can barely walk due to Michael's indiscretions in the countryside.
What have you been up to?
Mike Haig, what you been up to?
Well, it's all.
Apart from
I'm not even joking.
He was falling down the hill.
Falling down the hill.
Swearing at the wifeys.
Scaring all the whizzing country folk. It's actually what I've been doing. Most of it's subjudice, but I'll talk about it on a podcast in a few weeks. But I've been... it's something to do with a court case. Not my own. I'm just helping a brother out, if you know what I'm saying. But I will talk about it in the future, because I do believe we have struck a blow for the common man, and potentially, I can't actually talk about subjudice. So other than that, I've just...
Mike Cow, a.k.a. Perry Mason.
Perry Mason. I'm a man of many... I
was going to do
many talents.
Last week he was like Ironside, the cripple in the wheelchair. This week he's litigation expert.
I've got the 360-degree crime fighters vibe going on.
Next week he's going to come well dressed and looking to be one of Charlie's angels, and I'll be looking to bend him right over.
Farrah Fawcett. I do look a bit like Farrah Fawcett.
Look a bit like Japanese Savile, actually.
Do you want to tell him
Don't describe.
Well, he's got a lovely headscarf, last seen on Mr. Miyagi. He's got a pair of very retro headphones, which I do believe were done by Jimmy Savile.
Yes.
Signed
From the Sennheiser Nonce collection.
And he's got a big sort of peace logo, which is quite sort of
in a tracksuit.
Yeah, and a skin-tight tracksuit.
It's not actually,
and actually, yeah.
It's not actually, no.
Orange cloth thing.
It's me cycling gear. It's very nice cycling gear, which now doesn't fit us because I'm such a skinny cunt off this fucking thing. You can see the full gap between my legs now.
Lovely.
Looks like I've been riding.
And what's
your
that?
horse.
A pair of 3-year-old slips in the side pocket.
Yes, it's my swipe card to the kindergarten. But no, all I have actually been doing is resting my legs and walking really slowly, just to try so my hamstrings didn't seize up, and just generally resting and making sure I don't fucking. Like, my body doesn't go to shit.
Sounds well done.
And then everything else is subjudice. Move on. I'll tell you when we've won the case. Bye.
So, Mickey C, what's getting on your tits?
Well, I'll tell you what is got on me tits this week. And
What?
it's sort of a thing which it's just a weird sort of concept of humanity, I think. The gift voucher.
Pray tell, what makes the gift
Well,
voucher?
I must say, I do have strong opinions on the gift voucher. It's usually around the
Well, it's
festive
like
season.
you're converting actual money into money with a fucking sell-by date, which you can only use in a fucking one place.
This was exactly what I said to
It's fucking
somebody last
weird
Christmas.
as fuck. I was given a gift voucher off someone just into, this was in my wallet. Do you want to go and see if it's got any money on it? So I went to the shop in question. They're like, it's expired. You're like, what do you mean it's expired? It's expired. You're like, fucking hell.
It's possibly the worst present for a person like you.
What is the
who
point?
could
It's just
barely
a
tie
weird...
his shoelaces on his better days.
Who's that?
You.
All right. It's a weird fucking thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I could give you some actual money for your birthday or whatever, where you can spend anywhere. But what I'll do is I'll fuck off out of the town and buy you a card that'll basically give you money that you can only spend in that fucking place and in a certain period of time.
Here's a £5 voucher for Waitrose.
Do you know what it is?
Thimble of sand.
Do you know what it is?
Get in there by next week.
It's a present for people who want to show you the care, but really couldn't give a fuck.
It's weird, isn't it?
I care about you, but not enough to really think about what you would really like. So what I'm gonna do is outsource that to you with a time limit.
Can I put like an addendum onto this sort of like this thing? Well, one of the things which does get on my tits, which is kind of related to that, and I'm total like apologise to any of you if you are listening, my mates who are involved in this, but I have like a group of friends who live in London, and it's not just them. It's like anytime you're on Facebook where you get involved in a multiple conversation, you know, where you're like there's 7 or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 friends, and like I like the purpose of the idea that you can do that on Facebook. It's a really clear way of like saying, right, we're going to go and do this, let's all do it, and everybody knows the crack, and everybody who's on Facebook knows at the same time. So it's really useful. It does have a practical thing. But what's really annoying is in the past you would have just said, oh right, we're meeting on the 16th, we're meeting at 8 o'clock in this pub, is that you then have loads and loads of like, oh yes, can you remind me, are we going at 6 o'clock? And then, sure, you like covered that topic weeks ago. Anyway, the particular one that's of relevance to you, Mickey, is that at the moment we've got friends of ours who are having a 10-year anniversary for them, and basically there's a present being bought, and it's just people have been chipping in money towards getting them a present, and it's just like, so should we go with Virgin vouchers or are we going with Thomas Cook? I swear down, it's like at loggerheads, it's just like this conversation,
give
this
them money.
one part of this thread has been going on for about a week and a half. So have we made our mind up, Thomas Cook?
If any of the people if any of these people I don't know who are on this thread, I've got a really good solution. You can spend money in any shop in the land.
Thomas
Give
Cook
them
and
money.
Virgin.
Give them it in a brown envelope and just mug it up like it's special. Like, oh, here's a brown envelope for you, or fucking something like that. Just give them fucking money.
Just get it
Or
and
PayPal them the money.
put it in a roll and in a clip and then give it to them, like,
Yeah.
so it's a kind of gangster kind of soprano style.
Aye,
type
or
of thing,
like, or like arrange something where you meet them under the clock at the station or something in a daft hat, or whatever the fuck you want to special it up. I would personally, and like I say this to my family, like I've said this every year for years now.
Give
saying,
us your
"What do you-
fucking money."
Say, what do you want? I say to them, I say, you've got no taste whatsoever, and like I'm literally the black sheep of the family. Give us money. Because you'll just give us stuff and be like, oh, cheers for that jumper that I'm going to take back.
Cheers, Mum, for the Yoda says relax t-shirt. Well, I cannot wear anywhere other than my fucking bedroom.
Yoda says, your man's terrible for that, carry on. No, honestly, some of the pyjama bottoms that you've got, like Gilbert's fucking fridge pyjama bottoms in there.
I love a pair of them. Can I ask you, Mickey, actually, just while we're on this subject, was it your mother who bought the classical Bladen Harriers top that you wore whilst one of the first occasions that I met you?
Bladen
after?
Harriers? That would have been
No,
his,
it was mine.
That would have been his.
Aye.
I've never owned a Bladen
These are like,
He
just to bring in the world a little bit, it's like after rave.
It would have been a Star Wars top if it was from my mother and I was wearing
Picture the
it.
scene, 1994, a Bladen Harriers top, well, that's skinny off, like jumping around at raves, was still skinny enough to wear a child's Bladen Harriers vest. Don, in particular, was like, looked a little bit like a famine victim.
Are you a raver or a famine victim? Same difference.
Well, I've got a numerous collection of Star Wars t-shirts. I tell my mum every year, actually, like, Mum, please. But I don't tell her at Christmas. I sort of wait a few months and say, oh, you know, when you're getting us presents and that in the future, just don't, you know. Just don't buy clothes. Do not buy clothes.
Margaret.
And then just I don't know what it is with that. Like,
Margaret, if you listen, I've always loved you. I think you're a fine
I
woman.
do. I love
This
her.
has nothing to do with me. It's your horrible shit cunt of a son. Wah, wah.
So is anything else getting on anyone's tits, or are we able to go into a bit of music?
Well, I haven't really fucking poured hate and vitriol yet. I'll keep it short though. Just generally, there was a point I wanted to raise after, you know, I've been away. And it was all positive and it was all like and fucking lovely. And it gives you different eyes to view things, and it was just something that I have actually like engaged with people on the Facebook page. Just the general fucking negativity pouring forth from that portal, and it kind of like comes like, you know, what we were talking about last week about like sort of what are we doing? Are we raising each other up, or we're just all agreeing everything's shit? That's really, really, really pissing us off. Like to pretty pathological level where I'm going to start actually reacting and being the most negative cunt on there. Sort it out, man. It's fucking life's not that bad. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't. Like, you know, your mind can heal your body, your mind can heal your mind. You can fix this shit. We can do it together. Sort it out. Cheer up. Smile.
Everyone should collectively listen to that Glowworm song. Can you remember that? Lift My Cup.
No, but please do sing it for us.
Carry me home.
Oh no!
I honestly don't know what this is.
It is what it is. It's a great. It's like you know. It's kind of Chakademus and Pliers type era, you know, but a bit of ravey kind of sort of soul song.
Just shit, basically.
All good.
Good for fun.
Whatever it is that brings you
up. Is
up.
it good as Cicero? She was leaving me, but I didn't care.
Oh, God. Now, you know, you were talking the other week about Forcing Styles, about how that was the end when Cicero kicked in. That was me wanting to, like, slash me wrist. So, like, that, I mean, I know you're trying to bring people up, but, like, it really would be the end of us if you brought that into it.
And here's the butt end of the Scottish rave scene. It's called Cicero. You like your tartan techno? You love that stuff.
He's a dirty.
And on that rave vibe, I would like to kind of bring in my section this week for the old school gem. We're about to listen to Future Assassins. This is Before Dawn, the 4 a.m. mix.
Lush.
That was Future Assassins. That was Before Dawn, the 4 a.m. mix. That's from Suburban Bass. Classic breakbeat label, which from the 90s, that was from 93, when hardcore just got that little bit faster, when the sounds got a little bit darker and started mixing light and dark together. Not something that I grew up with myself, something I've discovered later on in my life, but I've got the pleasure of playing that tune in a few weeks' time. If you like that kind of thing, it's going to be a set, all of that kind of sort of stuff happening at Detox, which is kind of long-running old school and hard dance night, which is happening at the Cosmic Ballroom on Halloween Eve, which happens to be a Friday. Tickets are available from Beatdown Records, and if you go online, there'll be various different sources that you can get there. I think the main headline act is Enjoy, yeah. Mickey C's favourite.
When's that?
And that's on Halloween Eve, Friday the 30th. Fancy it? Maybe get a night off. Is that a possibility?
I don't know, but I would like to.
Cool.
I'm considering it.
Is that? Have you heard that song? I'd never heard that song before.
Well, yeah, man. I actually did grow up with Suburban Bass.
I mean, did you? In a bedsit, was it?
I did. I was actually the person who thought of Suburban Bass. I'm from Essex. I've changed my accent.
Much like Jonathan King thought of the name Genesis for Genesis.
Moving swiftly on, Donald.
But anyway, that was part of the events anyway, and like to sort of segue into the next thing, which is what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
It's gonna nerd.
So
It gets worse every week.
Hey.
So we've got a variety of events. This is the part of the show which tells us what's going on in the city and the wider town and even Britain possibly. But first of all, Mickey C, what is going on? I think you've got something to tell about. Is that right?
No.
Oh no, that's
he said in future weeks he might actually participate in this section.
Sorry for that dead air. I do have some ones. Or you want to go in there, Mickey? Are you wanting to go there, Mike?
Yes, I will. We have, and thanks to Rhiannon Curtis for this one, who is organising doing a beach clean at Little Haven Beach, South Shields, on the 19th, which is a Sunday. It's 11 till 1 p.m.
That's a week on Sunday, is it?
Yes, and lots of tree huggers will be there, I'd imagine, if Rhiannon's anything to go by. Love you!
Just top lady.
And moving to the other side of the coin, Conor O'Gorman presents Mentis Newcastle launch night with Andy fucking C, the Baron of drum and bass, at NUSU. Sounds like a sexually transmitted disease.
Is that Northumbria Student Union? A venue that I've been kicked out of, 4 times?
No, I believe it's
dragged out.
I believe it's Newcastle University Students' Union, a venue I've been kicked out 3 times.
Just the once on that one.
If you would like to be kicked out of said night, then pay £15 for the privilege between 11 and 3. You'll probably last till midnight and you'll get booted out if you've got a big saggy set of balls.
Actually, sorry, it's
Friday the 10th of October. Yeah?
I'd actually been kicked out there twice.
I have actually been kicked out the other one 3
4
times.
for Northumbria, 2 for there. Yeah.
Once for slapping a toff. Moving
Moving swiftly on.
Fucking come on.
Knick knack, paddywhack, give a dog a
Bone
bone.
slap
All you
it.
Sloans, fuck off. I think that was a song that I once heard you sing through the streets of Heaton.
To Princess Beatrice's teeth. Because she
the
looks like
streets
a
of
horse,
Eden.
just like the family. Right, moving on. Amin Abadi. Hello, Amin.
Other stuff happening?
Well, no, this is the dude who fucking told me about the thing. Shut up. I'll just tell me about the thing.
Nothing.
Teenage Cancer Trust Band Night at World Headquarters on the 30th of October. Hip Hop Hooray. Live band playing hip hop covers. Hey.
Ho.
Hey.
Ho.
Hey. Live band, Hip Hop Hooray, playing hip hop. Oh, hey. We'll get. Just should have stayed this for 2 hours. Oh, Don. Hey.
I'm naughty by nature, not because I hate you.
A Hip Hop Hooray, Divant. Live band playing hip hop covers plus other bands. £5 in all, proceeds going to the TCT. Hey. Moving swiftly on, there's 2 nights at the Globe. Our friend Kerry James, Lockdown Rock Metal Club Night, 10 to 3 a.m, Friday the 10th of October, £5 in at the Globe. And then the night after, Rework Trance, September the 11th. Saturday the 11th of this month, this Saturday, £5 in, 9 till 3 a.m. at the Globe. Do you want to do one? Then I'll do what the other one.
I've got a few here actually. There's basically Parents Against the Cuts, which is a group that's been set up to kind of like challenge the cuts against
Fantastic.
two sure
Grassroots.
are having a meeting just to find out about what the next steps are for this campaign, and that's happening on October the 13th. Is that not a day?
No.
We're still on.
Yeah, no,
on
it's
the
next
early-
week. Yeah, so it's next Monday, October the 13th, and that's at 1 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's happening at Newcastle Central Library. Anybody is welcome, but obviously it's kind of focusing around on parents.
That's the most incongruous brap you'll ever hear. Brap! Parents
This
Against that
Saturday,
cuts.
our friends Lively Up have got Mungo's Hi-Fi.
Brap! Actual brap.
Big, famous kind of most biggest name in sort of like kind of reggae crossover music at this moment in time. With
that?
like sort of
Mungo's Hi-Fi.
and kind of sort of mixing English ragga and sound system culture and stuff like that. But that's going to be a big, sellout night. So
Holler with a rinse and
World
sound.
Headquarters, that's happening from 11 o'clock.
Brap.
Next week we've got 2 other things I wanted to mention, which is Hot Words, which is a poetry night I sometimes perform at myself. Spoken Word, and that's happening at the Chili Arms. It's 2 or 3 quid in as an open mic.
Chili
And they've usually got like a main sort of act on from out of the area. This is Dominic Berry and Terry Crazy Wolf Dobson.
Crazy Wolf.
And also our friend Alan Jones will also
Alan.
will be playing some guitar.
One of the nicest men in Newcastle.
It is. He is, sorry. And
It is.
It is. Yes, Alan.
nice.
Alan, you are only worthy of being an it.
It to his friends.
But you are nice.
And also the interesting little sort of night that's coming up at the Head of Steam, which is happening on Friday, October the 17th, is Holy Mountain and Tong Po. And this is
Tong Po, your woman go fuck.
Tong Po, that was him.
I think
out
they
of
kind of sort of-
That's him. I licks his fucking glass hands and goes, your woman, she go fuck. And then she's like, in the background. Sorry about that.
Anyway, so kind of bands sort of like play kind of mad mixture of sort of like Sun Ra style kind of funk music, whatever. But anyway, that's happening on Friday at 7
Do
o'clock.
they then steal
on
your
October
woman?
17th
Do they
at the
steal your
Head of
woman
Steam.
and lick glass off their hand?
And
No,
make
they
you
don't.
fight in extraordinary
She go
circumstances.
And I don't know if you've heard about this night. Anyway, it's happening at a place called Think Tank. Happening next Tuesday night. It's the 14th of October. It's Sage Francis and Edward Scissortongue.
They go
They be good fucks.
Very good fucks.
And
Kick a pillar.
we're putting it on. It's a party. It's a chance for you to come out and having a good night out, listen to some quality hip hop, and hopefully a chance to meet us and maybe find out what my cow looks like. And
Everybody's under strict instructions. I'll just cut in there. I'm actually out with me bird. Come, get a step and say hello. I'll be like, Harry, mate, give you a big hug, and then I'll just crack on with my bird. Now, you know what I mean? Speak to us at the end.
Are you going to dress as you are this evening? Or?
Absolutely not. I'm in full cycling kit. Are you mad, bruv?
And then straight after that, we've got another event, which is the after party, which is happening number 28. It's a free entry, but donations are going to Palestine Medical Aid. It's going to be a variety of DJ sets from Pegs, Raj Panu, and some guests.
Ooh, who could that be? Potential
sure.
for...
And will be food
yes.
being served by the lovely Rappers Delights.
Rap
variety of Notorious P.I.G. and Old Dirty Brisket. Lovely wraps.
The finest street food in all of the kingdom.
Somebody's food's
Yes,
Fucking honestly, it's lush.
No,
The whole concept
So-
of
I
it is
can
brilliant,
imagine,
and it is the finest street food in all of
So
the kingdom.
making sure you get yourself a ticket for the first part of the event. That's happening from www.wegottickets.com, or you can go to Beatdown Records in Newcastle or RPM Records to get them from there.
Rappers delight the go brunch.
Yeah, good fuck. Good fuck food.
Tobacco for you.
Aphrodisiac. Anyway.
Yes,
Mike.
moving back into the realms of reality.
And non-racist slur.
How's that? How is that racist? You're the Donald Jenkins, the ultimate communist. Hi, I'm the ultimate communist. I'm only talking about kickboxer, man. Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicle that we're all new and love.
I'm winding you up and you bitch, motherfucker.
Wind you up, Che Guevara. He go fuck.
Maybe some time ago, nowadays, I think he would be rather stiff.
He would, yes. Right amongst it. Right, moving it back into more sort of serious realms. There's an excellent initiative from the very, very excellent Making Winter Warmer for those without. This Friday the 10th, a sponsored sleep out in Newcastle to raise money and awareness about their campaign, which helps Newcastle's homeless community by providing them with food, warm clothing and other necessities. There's around 50 people taking part. Get in touch with them. Making Winter Warmer for those without on Facebook. They've got a group with about 8,000 people in it. One of the most impressive grassroots things. Just a group of people just say, right, we're going to help the homeless. Did. Like, this is like, we're coming into winter now. It's fucking foul the night. I've just been battering around on the bike there, sort of the skin, sitting here in me nice pink lamb's wool blanket. I'm a go fuck.
Oh, is that it? Some dead air. We also one event that I should big up in a way that I don't really want to, but is that DJ Aphrodite, who once took Melt the Cow to court.
His people actually took us to court.
But anyway, he's playing along with Asbo Disco and Gardner at the Lively Up 3rd birthday, which is happening on
Tell you what it is, how many nights do these cunts want to do? You know what I mean?
Friday the 17th.
Jake,
of
I know
October.
you're probably not listening because you're not an avid fan of the podcast. You probably I don't know. Either you or Connor, whoever the fuck. How many nights do you actually want to do? I mean, are you not bored? I don't actually. You're still really rather young. We loved it as well. Now we're old. You'd be lucky if we'll get one a year out of us these days. So I'm sorry, I won't assess you by our standards. Lovely kids, some of the friendliest people in show business, and hopefully they're going to be a go fuck coming up for me. I'm going to be getting mileage out of this all night till you're bored. I'm not yet though. I'll never be bored of it. Continue.
Mickey C, show me your top 5.
Fetch me your broadsword.
Top 5.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got
like
to.
the top 5.
Yeah, you know that new section of
The new
show,
section
right?
we're banging on about all day. Oh, well, we'll do this new
Your-
section, like, with the top 5s and that.
That you're
So,
Which
your-
you're absolutely not prepared for
your heading
whatsoever.
up.
All right, okay then. Well, basically what this is, it's sort of a play on Donald's Desert Island Crisps, because that can't really run forever, can it? And it's sort of
Nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing ever lasts. So essentially, what you're doing is you're
only
dragging
so
some
many
life out of an old horse and remodeling it.
So I thought I'd do like a top 5 of you give me your top 5 of anything. So and this
Well, there's a lot.
On this
There's a lot under
particular-
the sun, you know.
on this particular occasion, top 5 desert island body parts. And
What the hell?
I didn't greenlight this. I mean, like this is. Do you want to actually work your idea a
So,
bit better and relaunch
imagine-
it next week?
just bear with me.
Oh, go on then. I've known you all my life. Only
Imagine-
that.
Imagine you're on a desert island
Oh,
and you
then,
have to lose 5 body parts.
Ooh, now you're setting the scene. God, which one shall I lose?
You've got to pick. You've got to pick 5 between you. What is acceptable to lose?
I'm in a
Not
potentially
in-
life-threatening situation on a desert
Not-
island.
not
The
in-
sun's beaten down. Which body part would you like to lose?
There's a possibility you might get rescued as well. So you can bear that in mind in your choices.
What
But it's,
exactly are you fucking asking?
Right, well, I would go for, although unfortunately...
non-internal organs, though.
No internal organs?
No,
You're
it's
joking.
all externals.
hell.
And can it be part? Can it be part of a?
You can't have
So can it have the lobe, but like keep the rest of the ear?
No, you couldn't have the lobe. But you can't have two of the same. You couldn't have like two arms. You could only lose one
Or
arm.
two testicles? No.
Yeah, you can only lose one.
You really want to see those fingers? I really don't want to see no fingers.
So you got five.
You can't have two fingers. No.
One of each item.
One of each item. Well,
Yeah,
I'd definitely get rid
It's
of
a quality item for a quality seabird. I think we'll be seeing seabirds in a desert island. It's a quality item.
You assume they're all removed, like sort of surgically.
All
You're
right,
not gonna have
okay.
any like infections on it.
I'd lob the foreskin off then, really.
That's not really a body part.
Well, it is. It is a body. So, what is it? A figment of my imagination that only I can see and hear?
Oy vey, Donald!
It's just like an alternative quantum leap.
Well, it would
Fucking
be like the
Dean Stockwell
Well,
on
in
my
that
fucking
case, you could
cock.
have fingernails, and it's got to be the actual.
Well, it's a body part.
Well, it's like
Oh, look at you.
like an appendage.
I would,
appendage.
but I can't. It is
Can I just
partly
say?
a
Can I
appendage.
just co-sign what Dunn's saying there? Because on a desert island, we've already done the crisps. The crisps have been eaten. I'll need a meal, and the baby bell that will be hidden behind this foreskin will be a filling meal for all the family.
Oh no! Oh no!
I've often dined out.
Now, and I want to basically peel my foreskin off rather
Well, it would
than
have
to the baby wax that was found outside of a baby
It would
bell.
have to be the full penis. You can lose it,
No,
but you
I
can't just lose
I don't
it.
want to lose my cock.
All right, well,
But like
foreskin.
foreskins.
not,
No, thank
not
you. No,
happening. Okay.
not happening. No,
That's
thank
not
you.
in the rules.
I would get rid of a finger then. Yeah.
Which one?
This one,
Which one's that?
But where would you,
the one that the viewers can see.
Dunn? If you do get rid of that pinky finger, can I have your pinky ring? Biatch!
Yes, you can. I would lose that. What would you go for a pinky or a finger? Would that be what
I'm
you're
just
thinking?
thinking about dining on your bell scrum cheese. that's still running across the mind.
What about a tooth? Oh, have you got to lose all of the teeth?
Yeah, maybe it's a tooth eye.
All right, okay. So
yeah.
I'd lose a tooth.
Yeah.
I'd lose a finger.
Which finger though? I mean, you've got 10
I'd
of the
lose this
buggers.
one.
Well, that's good because it's offensive.
The swivel on finger, yeah. And I would like use it to kind of remind you about how you're shit at fucking bending the rules of this game.
Is this even a game? It seems like a barely.
Little bit of fun.
It seems like a barely fleshed out idea that we're trying to save for you via the medium of band.
I'd lose a nipple. I'd lose a nipple.
Nipple?
Yeah.
I don't know, Dan. What do you
Fuck off, man. A nipple's
Fucking hell,
Oh, you can't have a nipple. You've got to have your whole chest.
reckon? I would have to be a
Rip it
whole-
off, and I'll be. Hello, by the way, you might know me as Pinhead. I was 40 or something. Look at my ripped open
It's not
chest.
really an appendage, though. Is it? It's not really like a.
Oh, at least I
Try
get
telling that
somewhere.
to fucking Goldfinger. He had 3 of the cunts. He'd fucking
I've
snap
got a
your hand
nipple,
off.
I've got
Wait,
a
what you got? What you got?
a nipple, a finger,
Nipple, a finger.
nipple, a finger, a tooth.
A tooth, that's 3.
Yeah. My hair.
Bald.
My hair.
Do you mind going bald?
Yeah, I'll go bald.
You go bald on
I'll
Desert
go-
Island?
Oh, well, who the fuck's
What if you
gonna...
get captured? What if you get
Captured by who? The fucking.
the hairy,
all of the fucking people out
the
of there.
hairy pygmies, and then you wouldn't fit in, would you?
Well, then you'd be boiled up in a pot. What, you just deny them a meal as well, you cunt?
Well, that might have, bear in mind, I
Right,
might shave,
now you make
shave it off, get back on the boat, and then people might go, "Oh my God, we've just found the alien from the Roswell incident." My big, huge napper, and then chuck us back in the sea. So maybe that's not a good
Actually,
idea.
you would look a bit like Gabriel Overton if you shaved that napper off. Like,
shave me napper off.
Hair. Are you going for
yes.
hair? Or
I'll
not?
go for hair. Yeah.
Sharpen
Number
your
four,
hair.
You're not picking many.
Number
yeah,
4,
It's just, you're supposed to be a
a team effort.
I'm just ad-libbing trying to save your fucking game. Shit.
game. Dan's enjoying it. Dan's enjoying it.
Dan's-
Why aren't you enjoying it? It's more about you.
It's
That's what's
I'm
wrong.
making the whole section about me.
This bit.
That's not. Nah, you're not having
not
skin.
a big no
It's a
wing.
bit of skin. It's a bit of skin. That's. I'll tell you mine. Mine were-
eyebrows.
No, you're
Oh,
not.
where's you let us about me hair?
Well, you're gonna look odd coming back onto land with one eyebrow as well.
You're having to go up everybody who's got
It's not
alopecia.
really. I would have said this was mine. Little finger, left hand. little toe, left foot, tooth,
My left foot.
molar,
Daniel Day twat monkey.
right bollock to balance out the two toe on the left side. How many's that I've got? Is that 5?
No, it's not. That's 3, I think.
That's 5, isn't it?
Bollock.
Finger,
left
toe,
foot. My finger,
bollock,
one thumb, keep moving.
tooth. Do you want to pick one? Fuck it.
What I would do, I'd take my toenail off, and I'd fashion a fucking like short little knife out of it. And I'd sit there mithering for about 40 years, keeping myself barely alive on fucking blowfish and cunt. And then I'd wait until you came in on a dinghy going, I'm here to save you. And then I'd wait till you came in for the big fucking hug, and then I'd just plunge this fucking like prison fucking desert island shank into your jugular and then fucking stripe you up like a fucking kipper. Just for this game. Just for this game.
Right, okay then. Fine, fuckers.
Game over now?
Yeah, game
Lovely.
over.
Let's move on.
Your turn next time.
Yeah, well, I swear to you, I'll make a game up.
Right, do it.
I won't try and fucking flog a dead
I'm
horse
just an
from desert.
ideas man.
You're not really. Don's the ideas with my man with Desert Island Crisps. You just went, I haven't even got a name for the game.
Desert Island body parts.
All right, Desert Island Body Parts.
Game of tangents.
It was fucking, what a blast I've just had. That was Harry, to be fair. I'm just being a cunt.
Cool. So,
Right, okay.
Yeah, right then.
Mate.
Tell you what, before we
Mate,
do, just on Body Pot, flesh the idea out and bring it back next week.
It's your turn next
Ta-dum.
week. It's one of you next week to come up with the top 5.
yeah.
I'm done.
I will.
So that was top 5. We'd love to hear what you
Fantastic.
thought about that lovely part of the show.
Tell us everything you
What?
like about top 5.
What random top 5 would you
And then Mickey will make a trombone with these lips.
So, Mike Cow, tune selection.
My tune.
Yeah.
Right, wait. This is a tune which I just think it's fantastic. I love techno. I love soul music. It's the perfect amalgam of techno and
Toll.
soul music. Many
Techno.
of you, yes,
Toll.
Senko, Sevco.
Oh, no.
Oh no,
That's
no.
taking a turn for the West.
But speaking of that, yes, Robert Hood, that many of you may have heard of, a techno legend. He came out with a new, quite recent project called Floor Plan.
All right, cool.
And when we went to Pressure in Glasgow last year,
Yep.
he was, Robert Hood was supposed to be on with Floor Plan, but he couldn't turn up because there was like some kind of tornado or some kind of thing in Chicago. Sounds a little bit like that. I'm going to kick his lips off in a minute. But what he's done is he's brought soul together with techno. Absolutely love the tune, and it just fits in with us because we are super youths. It's called Never Grow Old. Hit it, Dan. Robert Hood's Floor Plan back in the house. Fucking love that, mate. I tell you what it is, right? Put a screeching wifey out of the top of a fucking hammering fucking beat and ram me to the gunnels and feed me like a goose full of the finest Persians known to man. I'm liking it.
How long was it, Mike?
What you saying? What you saying? Like,
Well, I think you having his life of the week.
It droned on a little bit, like, didn't it?
there's a fine balance between
Never.
fucking shoegaze and miserablest shit like Tool and uplifting.
Some wifey shouting never for 7 minutes.
Over the most blandest of beats.
That
to say,
reminds
like, I have
me
to
of
say it-
that. Sorry, that's
Some wifey.
That song reminds me of, do you know, when you're at a sort of something and you're walking through a back room and then that type of music's on and you just sort of walk straight through with a sort of like this is nothing music. It's just I'm
Says the
sitting
man
around.
whose favourite band is Tool.
I think it's.
You've
I
changed.
really love soul music, and I have to say, I did think her voice was beautiful.
Oh, nice voice.
But I just
Nice
find
voice.
it like I just not a big fan of soul and techno. I love techno as well. I don't like those two things combined that much. I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule,
Right.
But I just find it sort of like with that the beats like constantly the same all the way through it, and it just kind of was like pretty.
Do you know why?
bland,
Do you know
I
why?
think- I think
no,
I've
no,
got it.
let us
But I-
do
but I
it.
did- but I did
Let's
think-
just,
but I did think her
like,
voice
you've
was-
had your go.
Can I
He's had
just-
his go, and I need
I
to
just-
defend
one
the
comment,
position.
one comment.
One comment, and then I'm
I just
in.
feel like I'm coming down with a bad case of glandular fever.
body bag.
That is all.
That is a hashtag body bag. Right, moving on. That is a body bag. That like from this position of being in the body bag with a slight chink of light poking out of the zip, I'd just like to defend Robert Hood and his works. Actually, I'm not even going to bother. Blanche Lefever's fucking belt. Let's just move on. I fucking like it. Fuck you. Know your enemy!
It's the part of the show where we look at the dailies, a trailer trash of the tabloid press.
This is. Shall I start?
Go for it, Mickey.
I've got the Sun in front of us, and it's an IS special. Well, actually, it is,
What an IS.
literally
What are they
is,
calling it? What are they calling it?
United against IS.
Before you move on, right? IS.
Can I just?
When I went away, right, about a month ago, it was ISIS.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
that's
I
what I
came
was gonna say,
in the middle of it, like when I barely had Wi-Fi, it was like ISIL, which I thought that sounds a bit like fucking some kind of floor cleaner.
It's because it was the Islamic State in
Why have they
Syria.
dropped the is off the end?
It's because it was in Syria, and because now they're supposedly a threat
everywhere.
to Iraq.
Right.
They're everywhere,
but-
and
what I was
that new slogan is "Izzy
there's
Wizzy, let's get busy."
There's a couple hiding in your fucking.
But I had noticed that they did continue, and in some, apparently in America, they still continue to call it ISIS, and it's like ISIS, the group that's now called IS. So we'll just call it.
Do you know what it is? Somebody.
I think it was that shop in the Metro Centre
Not
complaining
Choc.
about
Do
plagiarism.
you know Choc? I got. Sorry, a bit of a burp there. Choc, who I got the
Joss
Gateside
Sticks.
game with. He sent us this link the other day. He says, I didn't know what this ISIS thing was, you know what I mean? I saw you like posted something, so I Googled it, you know? And obviously, like, Google does like some, on your phone, it does some like location things, so it pops up local things. There's a local organisation called ISIS Arts. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, like, I really feel for you.
Well, there was a shop, wasn't there? There was a shop
Yeah,
that
that's what I
gets
was
been in the
gonna
press
admit.
a few times that have been called ISIS, and they said they've started getting like fucking people like giving them death threats. But we just sold jewellery.
Snapping their candles.
Are
and
these
that.
the same people who share Britain First posts about with the skinny dogs?
We're just a jewellery shop. We don't want to share the same names.
I'm going to put this brick through a window, and I've just shared a picture of a skinny dog from Britain First Facebook page.
Earlier on the street, I went on a witch hunt and I killed a paediatrician. I hate them what they do to children.
Right, so shall we get into the Sun? See what the fucking.
Oh
crack
yes,
is?
let's get into Rupert Murdoch's
this is
fucking haunted
fucking-
mind.
Okay, then. So, page 2, MI5.
Next
Nab.
to the tits.
It's actually there's no tits.
Is there
There's
any
a big-
tits? Hey, they must mean business.
Oh, they mean business.
Fucking hell, there's a picture of a Union Jack with United against ISIS.
Tits are off the
with,
third page. There's a fucking
with
terror
a
threat.
fucking pair of scissors. Cut this out, stick it in your window, show everybody how much of a fucking cunt you are.
So MI5 Nab, the surgeon.
Oh God! Hey,
He's
I
got-
tell you what, he's went in on fucking soulful techno. The Sun's going in on an actual techno. Right, surgeon, you're being put in the jail.
Security forces yesterday seized a suspect dubbed the Surgeon as they smashed an alleged Islamic State terror plot.
And his accomplice Ben Sims and Dave
Alleged.
Clark.
Officers from MI5 led dawn raids by elite police squads in which a total of 4 men were arrested in London. The Swoop, the first time a suspected IS cell has been cracked in Britain, is believed to have foiled a spectacular terror attack on the capital streets.
It will be spectacular.
Tariq Hussain, 21, nicknamed the Surgeon. Who nicknamed the Surgeon?
Yeah,
The Sun. That gadget in the Sun last night when he was struggling to make his deadline. What we're going to call him, guys? What we're going to fucking call him? Fucking the ambulance just went past. Fucking surgeon. Call him the fucking surgeon.
I reckon there's definitely like a kind of like a group of people who sit round and just come up with the names of what we're going to call him. Chemical Ollie. We'll call him Jaws. You know, like off Bond and that.
Fucking Goldfinger, innit?
He's got fucking 3 nipples. Call him Goldfinger.
So then you get on to page 6 and sick advance of a deluded death cult.
Rock, 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 rock,
And,
rock,
the
rock.
first line in bold is it is history's most barbaric and richest terror group,
Hate.
enraging
Drip.
the world with its pitiless lust for blood.
Dripping
It's
hate.
like, fucking hell, how are you?
Getting
I
lots
mean,
of sponsors and donors from the state of Saudi Arabia. Also, good friends with the United States.
Last month, they
go
beheaded
figure.
19 people for witchcraft. We haven't heard about that in
It's
Rupert Murdoch's son.
I'd just like to take exception though. It's history's most barbaric and richest terror group. They've beheaded 4 people essentially.
No,
It's
sir.
not the United States of America.
I think you will find it is the United States of America,
Which
but
still
it will
has the
never be
fucking death
referred to as
sentence
that.
in every state.
How many millions of people? Like, let's do it in top trumps, right? How many millions of people have the United States killed? They're going to be like fucking, you know what I mean? If it was like F1 racers, they're going to be like Nicky Lauda.
You know, top trumps. You know, like in top trumps, there's only like one way ever to defeat the ultimate card because there's always one card that if you've got always wins, but it's always shit on one thing, and you've got to be really careful to kind of clever out of it. Would you reckon that the only thing to get around America would be something like fucking gross domestic product or something? The fact that it makes fucking nothing. Imports fucking everything. Gross domestic
Culinary delights.
The only
Zero.
way to get round America would be that secret card, which is the Draco space lizards from the planet Munkatron.
So I like what they go on to say here about IS, the most barbaric and richest terror group. All women are veiled in public and music is banned at weddings. Even goats and sheep at markets must have their genitals covered.
Meh.
Cover the goats'
Cover the genitals.
It's fucking ludicrous.
They've all got their faces covered. We don't know what they're up to.
Muslim women offer their bodies to the terrorists in an act called Sex for Jihad.
Oh, fuck
After
off.
being
It's not.
told
Right,
to
I'm
get
just
them
going to
into
fucking
heaven.
stop you there right now. There is no way on earth that it's called Sex for Jihad.
Come on, girls. Sex for jihad.
It's time for sex
Cover
for
that
jihad.
goat's bollocks up. We're gonna suck some.
Right, I'll just stop you there. Like, you know yourself, right? If the woman is not married, they're not going to offer themselves
Unless
up.
it's sex for jihad.
Oh, sorry, there's a caveat. It's sex for jihad. It's just been made up by IS or whatever we're
Even if
calling this
something
week.
like that does exist, because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's like I just watched a really good film the other day called The Sacrament, which was about like based very, very loosely on true events, which was about like the biggest religious
Very
cult,
loosely.
religious cult which happened kind of 60 or 70 years ago, but it's kind of in a modern day context, and it's like, you know, where they're supposed to live a very kind of abstaining life from a lot of things, but on the slide the main cult leader is kind of, you know, bringing women in for initiation for sex and to take drugs with them and stuff like that. So there's like kind of double standards. So even if there was a situation that there was a case that like women were being exploited, you know, and being told, you know, you've got to do this in order to kind of like really be in contact with Allah, and, you know, women were being, which may or may not be the case, whatever, do you really think that it's called sex for jihad?
Sex for
I wonder if
jihad.
there's any sex for jihad on X.
Or even translates perfectly into that, you know what I mean? It's just
I know what it
Sex
should
for
be
jihad.
called. I'll tell you what it should be called, and this would be even more realistic than sex for jihad.
Blowjobs for Armageddon.
Your woman, she go fuck. Tong Po is the leader of ISIL or whatever they're calling it this week, and your woman, she continues to be a go fuck.
I think like definitely with that kind of level of propaganda, you're talking about sort of the sun not being too far behind the fucking rag of a fucking BNP letter. I think
pure.
you've got in your hand, Mr. Mike Cow.
Mike Cow.
The Daily Mail. What the fuck's that been saying?
Money mad. You're all money mad. Sorry, that's Money Mail. Starts page 38. That's the
Sadly
word.
not the London Posse.
That is sadly not the London Posse. We're going to have to play that one week, really, aren't we? Money mad. You're all money mad. Money Mail starts page 38. And that is in the top right of the front page. I'm just going to deconstruct the front page of Wednesday, October the 8th Mail. At the top, picture of a woman touching her cheek going, come on now, that's the look she's got. Yes, women do, in bold, expect too much of their marriages. What the fucking actual fuck is this? Sarah Vine, page 15, sell out.
I agree.
I'm just going to go around the doors. The main headline in super duper heba dabba bang bang bold for the Daily Mail is Jihadi plot to attack UK smashed. Everybody must like our security services because they always have our best interests at heart, and they will stop sex for jihad
They
happening
always
in
do.
your little village.
They always seem to miraculously happen just at the same time as we're bombing the shit out of them.
My favourite thing the other day, David Cameron put something up for Eid. Last Friday was Eid, you know, like it's like the celebration at the end of Ramadan, and he was like fucking. He tweeted out like, "Oh, I'd just like to wish everybody like fucking great Tweed and all of that. Frankie Boyle replied to him when why don't you not cut straight to the chase and just write on the side of the bombs that you're sending over there? Fantastic work, Frankie, as ever. Well done. So it goes on. So that's there. The strapline, MI5 sees Britain who'd fought in Syria amid fears terror gangs are planning a beheading. Right, let's pick some words out here. Fears, terror, gangs, beheading,
ISIS,
plot, jihadi, attack,
Henchman.
smashed, henchman, bastard, fuck, rape, carnage, murder, death, kill. Effectively, that's what's going on here. And then just bringing you swiftly over to another story on the right. Ebola, British hospitals are put on alert. Fuck off. Fuck off.
like-
All in one, right? And it's not even over. In the middle, we've got a picture of a heavily made up, looking slightly super concerned Jennifer Lawrence. Hacking my photos was a sex crime, but look at how beautiful I look here.
Well, that was that was what I was
after I've
talking.
been airbrushed.
That was
So
like,
what we've done is we've reduced women to like an atom of shit, and then fucking basically went Rah! Terror.
that's what I was
Terror
on last
time.
week, wasn't it, with the iCloud hacking thing.
Doesn't matter. It's
And there's-
terror time.
No, I know, but there's a one in the Sun as well, which is Kelly blows her topless. And it's about Kelly Brook, who's had her fucking phone hacked or whatever the fuck. And it's just basically like there's private images of her with her tits out. And it's like Kelly Brook is bothered that someone's got pictures of her with her tits out. Is there not like countless pictures of
Countless.
Kelly Brook with her tits out?
Is there though?
All-
Did she ever got them out?
Oh, fucking all the time.
Sorry, ladies. Have you ever got them out yourselves? Them out. I'm just sorry. What happens is you touch the newsprint of these things and you get infected with the poison.
Well, is she,
A bit like proxy progacon. We don't.
has she ever got them in? Would be the actual question. With fucking Brook.
Has she ever got them in the over-the-shoulder boulder holders? Yeah.
So, this is the one. This is the last bit I wanted to write, which is a bit odd. I think, like,
You're odd.
I know,
Proper
Neck-
little oddball, aren't you?
neck frog, yob guilty.
What does that even mean?
Well,
Neck
I'll
frog, yog, gabby doogadoo.
I'll explain.
Gunny goo.
A man filmed himself swallowing a frog and a lizard in a cruel neck nomination stunt. Sheldon Jeans, 23.
Right, I'm going to stop you again. His name's not fucking Sheldon Jeans.
Name's Sheldon Jeans.
Right, this is at this point we know that this is a heavily made up news item.
Sheldon,
Can you even call it news? It's in the Sun.
Sheldon Jeans, 23, started with a glass of water filled with crickets before gulping down the frog and the 3-inch lizard.
Grimbleby
Jeans.
pencil skirt 29.
Jeans of Cowplay and Hans posted the footage on Facebook. He admitted animal cruelty before Portsmouth magistrates, got 80 hours unpaid work and was fined £1,200. He is the first person to be successfully prosecuted for causing cruelty to creatures other than a fish whilst taking part in the internet boozing craze. Which I sort of agree, but it's like, is that not what fucking celebrity get me out of here is doing every fucking time you watch
You make
it?
a fine point, I mean, like,
They're
that's
always
how they're
eating
doing.
fucking live shit, aren't they?
It's all
And
right.
it's like, oh,
it's all right. I'll
sorry,
just
though.
stop you there. That's entertainment, and people ring in, and money's generated. Do you see how it works?
Not really.
Well, let us explain it to you. Like, they sell advertising. Anton Deck with a massive fucking Alfie Teefeld, who one of them, by the way, voted Tory, so stop deifying them
I
as
bet
some
you know
kind of
which one
Geordie
it
god.
was.
Go on then.
Deck.
It wasn't, it was the other
Oh,
cunt.
was it?
Aye, it was, aye. Fucking, like...
Sorry, Deck.
Aye, sorry, Deck. You're obviously an ardent socialist. You believe in sharing, don't you, little Alfie twat? Not like your even bigger Alfie Teefeld, Slapper, Demas and Pliers fucking pal.
Well, why would they care about anything really? They're fucking minted, aren't they?
Well, they try and like put themselves, oh, we're all super Geordies and that. We're like proper super Geordies. Like, and then he moves to London and votes Tory. You fucking cunt. Fuck off. He even said when he outed himself, he got like he slipped of the tongue. He goes, I can't believe I just said it. My family are going to kill us.
Are you going to explain what you were going to say before about the
What about?
neck nomination you were making? A
Neck
point and then you went off
nomination.
onto,
I just hate those two little fucking bastards. I do. They're just like, oh, like, you know, we're like the fucking like high court jesters of all things Geordie, and they're just fucking little cunts. My wife's
what
gonna
is it?
kill me.
I've had the first injury inside. I think I've just
Bloody hell.
ripped my elbow
How did
as
you
I
do
was
that?
going down the stairs.
Give
from
us a look.
our-
Well, they're not really stairs, are they? They're like a highly wobbly, like a ladder. There's
Give
a
us a
the
look.
ladder into our radio pit, and
It's
and,
massive. It's about 3 millimeters
Oh my
and half
God.
a millimeter deep.
Somebody give that man a blood transfusion. Get your headphones on and man up, you
Are
cunt.
you passing it? Do you want a cuddle?
do I?
I'll just give you the toucan touch there and you'll be alright. No, like states as if by magic. Right, back to hate. It's hate hour. The papers.
You
What
were going
was
to
it?
explain the because I was on about that.
I didn't even know what I was talking about there.
The Gadgeu's got a fine and a community service for eating a
Oh
frog.
yeah, we were
And then
talking
the
about I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
yeah.
You brought that point up about how they do it all the time.
Yeah.
The differential is that's presented as
Witchetty grabs.
Witchetty grabs. Get him down, yeah. Look at fucking the Gadgey who was like the rock for the fucking queen and that. Oh, he's got the snakes. Oh, the snakes. Listen, the only reason he was shitting himself to the snakes because he used to fucking serve the cunts. That's why. he used to be all up in the reptiles video. Oh, it's a snake. It's a snake. Oh, it's a snake. Oh, it's got a crown on it. Oh no, it's the holy scepter of. Anyway, I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. That's presented as entertainment. Two reasons. The reason it's not admonished in this shit rag here, which Dan's going to be infected in a minute because he's flicking through it now, that the newsprint in it has things such as smack and hatred in it. And like you can probably tell, we'll just go off into the realms of hate whenever we touch the things, but we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. That's presented as entertainment. It generates cash. It's through advertising for whatever shitty fucking idiot lantern they're trying to sell you this year. Oh, buy this new fucking 70 million inch plasma telly. It'll fucking salve all your ills. It won't. Also, ring in. You're not quite chipping in for nonsense like you do with the X Factor. Jonathan King's bail, I don't think, comes into it. However, like, you're ringing in, they'll probably fix the fucking thing anyway, and they're generating millions of pounds. If this daft shit cunt does it on fucking Facebook or YouTube, well, that's not generating nothing other than, oh, well, we'll get some column inches out, a bit of vitriol, oh, we'll stick like a 4.1% APR ad next to it, you know what I mean? That's all it is. They're just trying to sell things through shock factor. Fuck you.
Moving swiftly on. It's that part of the show which was sadly missed last week. None other than the lovely Savills Corner.
Oh, welcome
goody.
back.
Goody gumdrops.
Jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry, lovely, lovely, lovely. Jingle jangle jewelry, lovely, lovely, lovely. Jingle jangle jewelry, bunker my bum. Jingle jangle jewelry, jingle jangle jewelry. Look me chocolate starfish, look me chocolate starfish. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Start my bowl.
So this week, lads, we're going to have a bit of a different change on the way we're going to do the show. We're going to do a quick fire round
God,
on
no, that couldn't spring in something on at the last minute. Fucking come on.
information on everything in the world of paedophilia. Keep it nice and short and sweet. So, Mr. Mike Cow, you have in front of you a newspaper. What does it say?
It's not a newspaper, it's a shit rag of doom, hatred and carnage. It's the same one. It's the Daily Mail from today again. And happily, I use that term very loosely, on page 5, girl aged 15. And this is in inverted commas, due to the fact it's probably going through some kind of legal process. So if they put in inverted commas, watch out for this, it means they can't be sued. Oh, it's very unlikely.
Is that true, is it?
Was raped by Savile and his friend. Oh, pedo friend. And the strapline is, stars DJ Pal drove teen to flat where they took turns to attack her, then said, you should be thanking us, court sold. Yeah, it is. I don't know why he turned into a mank, like, but right, Don, there was a Jimmy Savile thing where you should be thanking us, court told. I've lost the ability to do a Savile. Go on.
No then. Oh, where's me friend? Where's me washbowl?
You should be thanking me.
You should be thanking it's us, man, because there was 2 of them going 2s up. Oh, when it said I went a bit far, now it's 15. You should be thanking us.
So,
Actually,
so
like,
from beyond the grave, this man continues to potentially or allegedly to.
It's got down here in small type in the middle of a column in inverted commas. Began to stroke her hair.
it's
I think that would have been the least of our worries.
apparently because it's in the Sun as well, and it's the first time his name's been mentioned in court since the Savile sort of thing has sort of kicked off. And his friend, who is nicknamed Ugly in The Sun, I don't know if that's just the bloke who's making up the surgeon names, coming up with the name Ugly.
Same gadget, they've got a bit of corner.
I've lost the page now, like, so I cannot...
Also on
But,
the pedo front, though, there was something that we didn't cover last week. So it's very interesting development.
We didn't cover anything to do with pedos last week.
Development happened with Nicole Kidman's dad, isn't it?
aye, that's weird.
I'll just put a big umbrella of allegedly, because this was on one of those fucking crazy nights type websites in the far
They were
reasons. Crazy nonsense. Yeah.
So-
It's a little bit sort of Cathy O'Brien's fucking
Well, it's,
Princess of Power talk, you know?
It's quite... If you read the website, I don't know what the website was. Can you remember, Don?
www.itmustbetrue.com.
One of those before it's news.
It was before it's news. I think it was before it's news. Sir Anthony Kidman, who's actually Nicole Kidman's father.
Well, not allegedly he is a father, but carry on. I'm just getting in with the allegedlys.
He's quite a name in Australia because I think he's a doctor.
Well, he was. He's
so
dead
like
now.
a psychiatrist or something.
Yeah, he was a high-ranked
But he
psychiatrist
was a
type.
celebrity type psychiatrist as well, by the
He
sounds
was,
of it.
aye.
But
He looked proper double look like Damon Everidge without all the fucking makeup and
Right.
that. You know, like fucking Lily Savage and then Paul O'Grady.
aye,
Proper looks like that.
right. So he you've made us lose me bit. He was
Do you want us to help you out?
Yeah, no, I've got it. He was fucking hell. He was
Bit of a nonce. There's a bit of help for you. Apparently, allegedly.
People have made allegations against him. The story goes that they made allegations about him, and then he fled to Singapore, I think, where he sort of died mysteriously. Some people are saying that he's been bumped off because what some of the people who are the victims, supposed victims of him and others, are saying that he belonged to this Sydney paedophile ring, where like, and it's really fucking dark, like
Quite
where they're saying
highbrow.
like.
Not to be confused with the gadget from the Carry On film,
and
Sydney.
it was also
It was like
stuff-
hunting parties to do with like kids
Oh
getting
God,
chased.
yeah, that's some
Full-on
dark.
torture.
That's full on.
That's the
darkness.
allegations,
That's
I
the
mean-
alleged. The alleged.
But people, I can't remember her second name. There's a woman called Fiona who, she's the main sort of victim who's come forward, and I think other people have as well. So apparently he left Australia when these allegations were made, and then has
And then the
sort of
lizard slotted
subsequently
him right
died
up,
in
aye.
Singapore. He supposedly fell or something, and then people are saying that it was.
It's a little bit like that sort of project, like for those who do know of the world of tinfoil and triangles. It's a little bit like sort of the Project Monarch sort of Carry On, where they're saying like, you know, he was one of the sort of high-ranking programmers because he was like one of the sort of celebrity psychologists. He subsequently like got bumped off because his programming didn't work enough, and like they started coming out of all this Project Monarch programming, and hence why he's like, you know, like basically went off to ran away to Singapore, got caught by the lizards. The
But it
lizards
makes you
done
wonder
him.
about the whole. If it is true, then it makes you wonder about the whole Hollywood
But
thing.
do you know what
It sort
struck?
of adds weight to
Well,
it,
do you know what
which-
struck me when I actually read the article? I was away on the Camino, and he sent it to us. I read it, and I just thought, oh, he's wide shut. His
Yeah,
daughter was in
exactly,
that. You
yeah,
know, that's a
aye.
bit weird.
Yeah,
It's just that
it
first
is
thing that
weird.
struck us.
Go on, Don.
I'm just going to say, like, it'd be good if any listeners out there know more about them, the story, if you could kind of share it on
Yeah,
the
it's
Facebook
interesting,
page or
right.
whatever. And because it was seemed like quite a big thing, and I thought, wow, this is really like, you know. And then I haven't really heard anything
It's not
about
mentioned
it since.
in any of the main
Yeah,
papers
yeah.
or anything
The
like
papers-
that. Like,
So I don't know. I mean, again, the flip side of that is that it might just be bullshit. You know what I mean? So
I'll be honest, it did smell a little bit rotten to me, but like it's simply because I think normally with those kind of things, I've got Wi-Fi and I'll research them and I'll go, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, that's a bit of something to do with that.
I haven't looked
But,
since, so I don't know.
I haven't looked since. I just something I want to raise up, and as Don quite rightly says, aye, holler at your boy.
Jonathan King,
Jonathan King, yes.
What a
he
shit,
was,
couldn't he?
he was
I
someone
think
who,
the man's pedo.
Yes, we were going to mention him last week, and he was kicking off. Outraged he was that he wasn't on a previous
Heart's
Genesis.
bleeding, like.
I think it was like a radio show where they were talking about sort of Genesis, the band, and like because he had obviously had a big part to play in their sort of
Discovery.
come to fame.
Come to fame. Did they
So
really?
he was kicking off.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. They went to Charterhouse School. He was an old boy from Charterhouse School. That was when I was
Right.
like 15, something like that. Charterhouse School, for those who don't know, is one of like basically a version of Eton, just like fucking where they get drilled to bits, probably get botted. You know what I mean? Allegedly,
Probably.
probably rolled
Allegedly.
down.
But anyway, what I thought, from my understanding, was it? I thought that the BBC had given the permission for him to be in the programme, and now the media were then kicking off with the fact that the BBC was sort of allowing his footage to
Yeah,
be used
it's-
in said documentary or whatever.
Yeah, but
and it was
the-
like, how can they do this? And there was a big uproar against that. Is that
Because what happened previously was that there was a Genesis documentary. He was kicking off saying, "You've wrote us out of history and all this."
Good.
stuff.
You're
To-
a cunt. Fuck you.
So, and then this documentary, which was a TV documentary, the producer or whoever high up in the BBC says, "Oh well, Jonathan King's got to be on because he kicked off last time." And you think, "Fucking hell." But, you know what I mean? Mention him. I think he should be mentioned if he did play a big part in this. But why does he have to be fucking on the thing?
Not
you
only
know
should
what
he
I
be
mean?
wrote out of history, he should be kicked to
I
fuck.
don't think
He's
he
an
should be wrote
unrepentant.
out of history, but I don't see why he has to be on an interview.
He's
and
an
given his little
unrepentant
fucking sound.
paedophile. Don, I believe you know more than me about this.
I do,
actually
I do.
wrote a musical
He did
about.
call Vile Pervert the musical, basically.
Yeah,
you know.
I've seen that,
Something
yeah.
nothing new is the idea of writing your music from the jail cell. You know, various artists have done it over the years. Snoop Doggy
Return
Dogg,
of
Slick
the
Rick,
Mac.
Slick
It
Rick, yeah.
is.
But interestingly enough, he's obviously kind of insisted that he's innocent, and kind of gone on a little bit further to almost infer that basically maybe he did do something, but why should that be viewed as paedophilia? When you look at sort of history, there was various people who have been acceptably had relationships with those who would have been underage or whatever, and it was kind of things. So he was kind of inferring that Oscar Wilde kind of did things like that. And anyway, he wrote this really bizarre. I have to say, he's a twat, but it is quite well written. Although I don't strongly disagree with what the content's
The
about.
sentiment.
It's the fact that he's actually kind of the length that he's gone to. But he does one song which is called the wonderful, or something like the understanding of Harold Shipman, and he basically kind of looks at how the story of his life. Harold Shipman's isn't just a black and white thing. He wasn't just an evil man who killed various members of his
people.
patients. He's something. It's a bit more to it than that. And then another song is called "There's Nothing Wrong with Buggering Boys as Long as It's Something That They Enjoy." Believe it or not, it actually exists, a song. And then the final one, the one which I find kind of the most amusing, is a song with the lyrics of something like, "Look at me, I'm a bull, he's a vile pervoid.
Boy, boy. He's a boy, boy.
Get him out of here. He's a fucking
Get the fuck out of here, you poi bite. You little poi bite.
dirty little pie bite.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone, I'm a poi bite. I'm unrepentant poi bite.
And he just has all of these pictures of various icons from across history, all of whom at some time, even though they're kind of seen as holier than thou, they've kind of been something questioned about them. So he's got pictures of everybody from sort of Gandhi to Hitler to Stalin to Mother Teresa to Winston
Teresa.
Churchill.
Oh,
People who
she
are
was
predominantly
lovely.
seen as either bad, but there's some people, is there some is the story as cut and dry as that? Is it black and white and that? And he's kind of sort of saying, what you might think about me isn't completely true because nothing is that black and white.
It is. You're a nonce. Fuck you.
I've seen a documentary with him, and he's sort of given it the whole, well, they consented. And his sort of take on it, from my understanding, is that he was having consensual sex with young boys.
Jonathan, I know you're probably...
Teenagers. I don't know, it's
Can I
a
just
sort of-
help you out, and possibly Jonathan, who probably is a voracious listener to the podcast.
I think he's painted it up a lot. Fucking
Jonathan, I know you're a listener of the podcast. Let us help you there, brother. You're not me brother. Fuck you, actually. But let us help you anyway, as a part-time human being as you are. There's a thing called the law, right? That's all I have to say. It's called the law. What your opinion means nothing when the law comes into it. It's called statutory rape because until they're of age, they can't make that decision for themselves because of sexual predators such as you. You're a convicted sexual predator, and also
oh God, it's like you're looking at me when you're saying all that, and it's like, oh God.
I'm projecting it. You're like the avatar for
somewhere
Jonathan
else when
King.
you're
Dim
talking.
zip your top up really uncomfortably. You know what I mean?
Look somewhere else, Japanese.
Japanese Savile, leave me alone. I'm not
Japanese
Jonathan King.
Savile, we want someone to live. We want someone to love.
Oh, it's horrible, that.
Japanese Savile. I do look like Japanese, Savile. What of it? It's me grooming gear.
Moving
The
swift.
Knights of the Grooming G. That's for all you Lex fans out there. You're a niche market.
All one of you.
Moving on.
Yes.
Yes, I think we have a song. I think it's your turn, Mickey.
Oh, God.
Oh,
what about
It
that?
is.
My
What's
song,
your
is it?
tune for this week?
Fucking
Well,
hell,
it
would
was
have
a
been
stru-
done by now.
It
at
was
the
a
end of
struggle. It was a struggle to get this song to use, but here it is. It's Tegan and Sarah. You Wouldn't Like Me. Hello, welcome back. That was Tegan and Sarah. You Wouldn't Like Me off the So Jealous album.
You reckon? You're right. I didn't. It was fucking shite.
Lesbian Sisters.
Oh, I like it even more. I like it now because I just think of lesbians because they're all good looking who want to fucking porn and that, you know.
I like it. You don't have to. It's better than your
fucking-
7 minutes of fucking shite before.
Right, if
so-
you're putting that up, what I'll do is on the Mike Cow Facebook page is I will put a poll up. Do you like Robert Hood's floor plan, or do you like shiting and fucking grating or whatever the one fucking called?
Sounds like a really fair poll.
do you like me or do you like Mickey C? Who do you like the best?
Do you like me or do you
Mickey
like
C
wankers?
because I'm fueled by likes. That's like me fucking fuel. I love it.
That's because you live off the back of fucking Facebook. You
That's me. That's me in the corner. That's me with the spot light of a smartphone on my boat race, living off the likes.
I'd
But
much prefer to listen to either of
actually,
those songs than
I could have
fucking R.E.M., to be
freestyled all
fair.
day on that, and you cut in. You're a fucking nightmare. You like.
It was beautiful.
Anyway, I think it's time for
I like
A special request.
Oh, it's a special request.
Special Request is the part of the show, the interaction with you, the listener, where throughout the week you have been telling us about what you want us to talk about on this show, basically. So thanks very much for taking the time to
Is
get
it
on
a
the
show?
thread.
Is it?
It is a show.
Making a show
It's a car
ourselves.
crash.
It's a car crash of the show.
And well, obviously we apologise for those things that we don't get through, but we are going to try and
Like your ma.
Oh, we'll be getting through it.
Oh, we gone through your ma. All your ma's are in here.
Do you know? It's like
Gone through them.
I get kind of bored of the whole like your mama stuff. Like,
Your mama. Your mama.
Your
You're
mama,
talking to you just
your
like
ma's in
mama?
here. Your ma's the first man. Me and Mickey and that toes up on your
I always
ma.
prefer this one, which is your father was so stupid that he was worried that when your ma asked him if he wanted a blowjob that it might affect his benefits. Anyway,
Semi-tumbleweed, carry on.
I have got a
There was
semi-tumbleweed.
some redeeming features. You've also got an elbow injury there. How's that going for you?
It's like a little nipple on his elbow.
It is.
It is. Anyway, for the first discussion point is from Alec Fox.
Actually, it does
Alec
look like a
Fox,
nipple.
who has
Catch the fox.
And
Whoa.
he said, "How about this one? If you had seen your friends and relatives tortured to death, been fucked over by your government, even fucked over by an invader who said they'd help you and had lived in a repressive regime for 30 years, wouldn't you feel like chopping somebody's fucking
And
head
that's
off
Alex
too?"
Fox, the main correspondent for PositiveNews.com.
So, lads, what do you reckon? I mean, basically, I think what he's saying there is
can
that
see what
it
he's
would,
saying.
would you find yourself, or do you think that it would be plausible to be in a situation that you might get to an extreme behaviour and cut somebody's head off if you lived under kind of repressive
I don't
sort of taste?
I don't think any of us on this planet are that different, that given the circumstances of your life, that like someone like in that particular situation, I could be in that particular situation, maybe I would do that. It's hard, you'd like to think you wouldn't, but you know.
Right, I'll just stop you there. It's not hard at all. If somebody had
What's
just
not hard?
if somebody just offered me mum in front of us and I could get to them, I'd absolutely kill them with me bare hands. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah. No, that's a different question,
That's a
that,
kind of.
though.
I think that's like
He's on about the
just talking about
journalists.
just talking about families here. We're talking. Would you be prepared to living under a repressive regime where then there was also not just the regime that you'd lived under? There was now a situation where like there was foreign invaders coming invading your country, making the place. Would you find yourself in a situation where you would behead somebody in order to kind of get a to kind of get a statement?
I
across?
like many
I've
people.
beheaded a pheasant this week.
Yeah,
so-
I've beheaded a pheasant. It's like a drip, drip, drip.
Okay.
Tip tap toe totalitarian tiptoe towards bed. Tip tap biddly
Do-do, don't-do-do.
do don't do. I like many people have been not to the level of people who our government and the American genocidal terrorists. I've not been in that scenario, but I have been through pretty traumatic shit, and I know what the mind can do. The brain chemistry can get all mash up, and putting myself in that mentality. If it was taking on like 10, 20 times more again, and knowing how much of an angry bastard that I can't, you know me. I mean, I have to.
I've noticed.
My life's a daily struggle to tame.
observed you.
My life's a daily struggle to tame the beast inside. You know, it fucking actually is. Many people. Whatever. I'm a bit of an angry cunt. I'll take your head off. I fucking will. I will actually take your head off. Go on, come test the liar. Don't come and test the liar. It's like honestly, the amount of fucking shit I'm getting into.
I mean, even if these things had happened in your country, could you not foresee yourselves maybe like kind of dealing with things in a different manner? Does it not seem a bit extreme to kind of
The point I was
cut
trying
your head
to
off
make
and put it on a
clunkily. The point I was trying to clunkily make was that
click with every trip.
I can imagine pretty much anything, really. Sorry, I can imagine anything. I can imagine if you're in that situation where you've lived in whatever situation, even in like places in Africa where people you've seen like in wars in Sudan or whatever, or Uganda, and you've been subjected to like horrific violence, then I don't think anybody really has got any idea how that would fuck you up as a person. It's not like it's just it's a different level of fucking.
I've said many times, right? I'll just put.
You know what I mean? It's a totally different like experience to what we experience, and I don't think anybody can outrightly say, "I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that." They're evil because you've never walked in anyone else's shoes, so you can't fucking say. That would be my sort of take on it.
Mike?
Yes, Donald. I can quite, obviously you know me. I know myself. I'm on a quest for personal development in mind, body and spirit, and I'll own the fact that, if I was in that situation, knowing my sort of inner fire, we'll call it, I would absolutely go off on a beheading spree. I fucking just would. I mean, doesn't even come into question. If you hurt me and my family. And I've said many times,
you'd tear a head off and ask questions later.
You've seen us virtually tear a motherfucker's head off on many occasions. But
would you do it though for something beyond your family? Would you do it for like a particular cause or ideology that you believed in?
I believe in
WWF.
Do it for them.
I'd do it for the earthquake because it was one of the
Federation.
I'd do it for the animals. I would do it for.
Some people would.
I would do it for the patron Prince Philip because I'm all about Britain. But I would do it for Britain and God and the cut. Now I wouldn't do it for that fucking bullshit. I would do it for something that I believe in. Do you know what I mean? If it's charged with an injustice, then you're pushing me buttons. So if I see somebody in distress or being bullied, then these lads will back us up. I'm there. I'm on it. I'm like, stop the bullying. How dare you?
Sorry,
don't bully. So if it was something like that, where it was somebody was being attacked or marginalised or something like that, and it was within that extreme situation where all around people were being killed, murdered, all of that. I think, taking into account, when I've been through traumatic sort of death experiences and just that little essence of it, and knowing what my brain did when I went so double angry that I fell out with everybody I've ever loved, then yes, indeed, I would go off on a one-man beheading spree. And I'll just own the fact. Of course I would. I mean, for me, I think within that context, you're not really a man if you don't.
Do you think, though, the way that obviously this is being portrayed in the media is one which is, there's this kind of a sinister element of Islam that's really trying to install this caliphate, kind of like a new.
There's about 15,000 of the cunts.
Kind of
like
to move over a whole kind of sort of series of nations and stuff like that. Do you feel that is there any element of what they're saying isn't just about this religious idea, but about the injustice sort of thing that you're talking about here, Mike? I mean,
totally in their mind and within their frame of reference within their context, they've it's like with these people, there's about 15,000 of them at the last ISIS. We're talking about ISIL.
Do they do a register? Do they?
It's like Mohammed. Yes,
Mohammed. Yes. Muhammad.
Yes.
That must be get quite difficult.
Yeah, it must a lot of.
I mean, this is assuming.
Faisal. Ooh, that's a different one.
This is assuming the whole thing is actually not just a CIA fucking.
Well, the
thing.
jury's still out there. But I mean, you asked us a question. Can you reiterate that?
So I was just really asking you, I'm saying, like, how much do you think this is, like, you know, driven by, I suppose I'm framing the question slightly different, but how much do you think is kind of driven by this kind of idea of wanting to install a kind of a different form of religious ideology, political ideology, and how much do you think it's just based on, like, kind of injustices that these people...
I did spend a bit of time when I came back... outside of all the other shit that I was doing, catching up on the whole sort of ISIS, fucking McGrisis, IS, whatever they're fucking calling them, and found out a little bit about what they're all about and this, that and the other. You know, there's people from all over the world involved in this, and it's the most sort of radicalised sort of like side of Muslims, which is like sort of less than 1% of like, or much less like within that sort of you know, really, really fucking extreme context. And I think something I'd like to get across. You look at sort of things that groups like the Ku Klux Klan. You know, if we're going to judge all Muslims by what these shit cunts are doing, then we're going to have to judge all Christians by what the Klan have done historically, because they went on a fucking killing spree. You know, they targeted like they othered people, black
I think
people.
they're higher in the top trumps.
Yeah. I mean,
No, let's look at it in terms of top trumps. Who would win in terms of top trumps between the Ku Klux Klan and ISIS?
I think ISIS at this moment in time, because of like sort of the infrastructure
On body count or
I think
infrastructure?
I think just because of the fact that, well, if we're led to believe what is true, but as far as we know is that they have managed to seize weapons that did belong to America beforehand, either seize them or been fucking given them in hand. You know?
Well, I did see an article today.
weapons.
I saw an article today where, like, I think it was like 3 out of 4 of the bullets that like has been gathered as evidence have like a US sort of serial number on.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I don't know if the jury's still out or there's more evidence. Please send.
No, I think they are.
No, well, I think we know that, like, the CIA. Let's have it right. The CIA have armed and backed both sides of conflict since fucking like the very existence. They were set up to do that, and it goes all the fucking way back to the Napoleonic times with the fucking Rothschilds banking people. Like, just Google that shit. I mean, this isn't triangle shit. It's just fucking what happened. The reason that the Rothschilds are as rich as they are is because they armed both sides of conflict, and they just make money off selling arms, or did then anyway.
Mm-hmm. 2 quick points. One is that, like, what a lot of Muslims are facing in the world is a challenge at this moment in time is the rise of Wahhabism. For those that don't know, Wahhabism
Is that them that do them peas?
is a third
They
strain.
eat hot peas?
No, it's
No,
a
no, it's not, sorry, mate.
third strain of like basically Islam that is basically came around in a sort of about the sort of I think about the 13th century, and it was basically kind of Muslims who wanted to bring down an interpretation of Islam that was very literalist, and it like wanted to like re-examine the text of like Islamic text and you interpret them in a really like overt way, which has resulted in things like Sharia law being enforced. And since 9/11, this particular like movement, which has been growing for years and years, which has a massive pull within Saudi Arabia, has 2 sort of sides to it. One that is very pro the House of Saud, and obviously in doing so supports the business links with America, and also the kind of, you know, kind of the fact that obviously it's an oil-rich state that benefits in many ways from its kind of investments in America, and will support them and do that, and will keep people in line by coming up with religious excuses as to why we should support the House of Saud. And then on the flip side of that, we've got a very strong Saudi Arabian government form of Wahhabism, which was that advocated by Osama bin Laden and also some of the 9/11 hijackers as well. And what ISIS is a kind of modern day manifestation of that in its most kind of extreme form. However, it has a big effect on everyday Muslims.
Well, there's
the links between Sunnis and Shias.
There's a school of thought which says
divided
that like
beforehand.
factions of Al Qaeda, which some say doesn't exist, so it's like, you know, what the fuck, are against ISIS, and they've actually fought each other in the early days, and then they absorbed parts of Al Qaeda. And for me, what it appears to be like is a bit of a sort of like Western Secret Intelligence Service rebrand. It's like the Al Qaeda market. It's getting a bit low. I think we need to change it a bit, right? What we're going to call them, and then all of a sudden ISIS came out of nowhere. And I was like, when that happened, like Vice started doing documentaries on them,
No,
It's just
I
a big,
think-
it's
I
just a
think- no, I
big
think-
cluster.
And that's when it became.
in it, like what you were
Well,
saying.
it's the new improved Boogeyman, and I think like we've talked about it beforehand. Boogeyman, there's the fucking disco fucking Islamists again, but Bogeyman. But it seems to me like it's a bit of a rebrand, and I'm needing to do a bit more research for myself. You know,
My understanding from what I've read, it's a total rebrand, like fucking, and it
I
just
don't-
makes sense that it is. You know,
I don't think
mean?
it is a rebrand. I think what's happening is that like, movements grow and things grow into other things. So I think what's happening is this is a genuine movement that's emerged in Syria, and at one time this isn't like the CIA set them up. The CIA, whilst we were talking about invading Syria, about a year ago, did actually intervene within the Syrian conflict and armed the existing ISIL movement without realizing how popular it was. And in that time, that movement has grown in popularity, and also not necessarily popularity, it's gone in and literally slaughtered people who disagree with it, but having done so, got given bloody shitloads of good weapons off the CIA and do it. Now it's grown and merged into Iraq, and now it has kind of like, has kind of emphasis on both of it. People from Al-Qaeda, there was a lot of it. Some have capitulated and joined. Other ones are scared shitless and don't want to have anything to do with ISIS, from my understanding.
My viewpoint on it is slightly different, and that is that it's basically there is people within IS and the same with Al Qaeda and whatever else has been and gone in the past. There is people within that who jump on that bandwagon of it in terms of their. They believe it fucking 100% that this is it. This is the fucking shit. But I think it's largely led by Western secret fucking intelligence services trying to create the sort of the situations within the Middle East so they can then do what they want in the Middle East. And I believe that is the case, that it is actually all just like sort of...
That was kind of like the thing was with all of this, and where I kind of always have problems with these kind of theories is that it's all a bit too smooth, that like it's kind of, there is this thing that's happened and this is the desired outcome, and I think in reality is I think in reality is that America and like those who have power do intervene and infiltrate movements. The fucking fallout, or as they call it, the blowback, it doesn't actually always fucking fall back in the way that they wanted to do it, and that's why eternally within America there's fucking frustrations within even the right wing that fucking sometimes scared shitless that they're like, fuck, do you realise what we've just done here? And it's actually having like adverse effects on fucking...
I think there will be some unintentional consequences of what they do, but I think generally they've got a theme and they've got an idea of what they want, and they'll back and fund certain people who they see as, oh well, they could be useful, we'll fund them. And there's that thing that I can't remember what they were called, but the whole thing with the Taliban, how they came about, where the CIA were backing the schools, all these kids from back when the Mujahideen defeated Russia, and there was all these obviously orphan kids whose parents had fought for the Mujahideen against Russia and died, and the CIA did actually fund schools.
Well, they were doing it during the conflict and the war against Russia in the 80s.
There was a name for them.
Because it was part of the Cold War.
Apparently in the fucking textbooks of these schools, there was literally now, like in our schools, you've got like fucking kids counting fucking bunny rabbits and fucking shit like that. These textbooks were like counting like guns, missiles, and it's just completely radicalising them from an early age and bringing them up into that sort of
like a form of predictive programming.
Yeah, like
thing.
A total experiment,
like conditioning
and maybe
them.
That's like, you can look into that for yourself. I've read about it and I can't remember the full facts of it, but when I read about it, it all tied in and it all made sense, and there was fucking backup for that. So that's my view on it anyway.
Just going back to like the original point of what this was about, I just wanted to just like back up because I didn't really sort of chip in about what I thought about it, but I would just say I'm obviously being very honest here, and I'm sure hopefully one day I'd come back on us that I'm tortured or something, and I've kind of just used another excuse of what I've spilling the beans and telling them. But I had an episode where I went to Palestine myself 12 years ago, and whilst I was there, like the family that I stayed with were actually the son had actually sort of gone on a suicide mission himself, what we call a suicide bomber, would have been considered a martyr by him and his brother and his family or whatever. And this guy had gone into a Tel Aviv marketplace and blown himself up, and it's a pretty extreme thing, and that was one of the reasons I went to Palestine, was although I was supportive of Palestinians, I didn't really get my head round like suicide bombing, and I had like something I wanted to kind of find out about that. And I can only talk about this from the point of the family that I look at, but if I'd lived the life that this one family had lived, and it's only a snapshot of probably the lives of many people living in the West Bank and Gaza, it would be very, very hard for me not to have done the same thing as well. Just to give you an example, you know, this was like a family where in this refugee camp where they'd lived all of their lives, at one time, every single man between the age of 15 and 50 were all rounded up into one room with the entire population of several thousands into one community centre, where they were left for about 2 or 3 weeks, where they had to piss, shit and sleep in this fucking same space, not allowed to leave, left in gunpoint. This one guy had gone to bury one relative, I think it was maybe his cousin, whilst he was at the funeral. The Israeli army turned up and started firing missiles into the actual into the actual graveyard, which then fired out loads of spikes, darts, which lacerated his brother, who was stood there grieving for somebody else who died. He then had to carry his brother's remains from a funeral to then, take them back to the family. He'd seen his own mother beaten up by the Israeli Defence Force. He'd had various members of his family killed. On a daily, night-and-night basis, the army used to turn up and fucking terrorise the people, or whatever, bulldoze local houses. And then to put it off as well, they had a fucking big death charge right on the middle of the house. So basically, in the middle of their living room, there was a big hole in the wall. And the reason for this is so that the Israeli army doesn't have to go back downstairs, go out of the house, and then go up into the, tap on the door of the next person's house, and then go up their stairs. That you can just literally go from one living room to the next with a big hole. So there's just a big hole, so you can see a neighbour through the big hole in the wall that's there. And they put a carpet in the way to kind of so they couldn't see their neighbours. This is what they do. So it's kind of that life, of just being completely dehumanized or whatever, that takes everything away, and everyone thinks that everything just turns these people into these kind of evil jihadis. But what happens is you've got these actual military wings of organizations, and they then are looking for recruits. So basically at that time, someone's spirit's so broken, they go at them and say, right, I'm prepared to go off on a mission, and in exchange for it, their families are looked after. So after their death, not only will their face be immortalised right throughout the West Bank on some poster that kind of remembers them, and kids will walk around with pendants with them around the neck as they're kind of seen as kind of forgotten heroes or fallen heroes. And at the same time, what happens is the harsh story of it is that their families are then looked after, and the money is paid for them to make sure that they have life after their death. Right. So that's kind of the reality of a suicide bombing.
Totally
I just think, it's different with that, but that's kind of,
It's the same thing though, isn't it? To say what you're saying, it's sort of what I was trying to say before was that you can't actually understand what these people go through. You can see it on the news and you can read about it, but you can't actually know what it's like.
I think now you can, after hearing what he's just said.
Well,
exactly, you get a grasp of it, you can feel it, you can think, ooh, that's bad, ooh, God, that's not the best. But he's lived it. He's, for a time, but I was just sitting rapt listening to what he had to say there, and I was like, I get that.
Well,
I'm there, I get what he's saying.
I think if you've got empathy for your fella person, and
that's what it's about. I think it's what we were talking about the other week, about sort of how people are, when they think of themselves, it just doesn't sort of access that sort of part of their brain. They don't have the empathetic development. They don't have emotional intelligence. But I think there's I would imagine the audience of about 12 rave casualties who are listening to this learned emotional intelligence through a certain little white pill in the 90s, just much like myself. And I was sitting there going, damn, I'm just absolutely, I understand. I understand. So thanks for sharing that. I hope you don't get black bagged by the Illuminati, but I've got your back, brother.
All right. Next, we've got yes, Jimmy. We've got another one. I think we've got something that came in from Stewie Robs, a close friend of ours, who was talking about the deficit man. Do you want us to tell a bit more?
No,
about
it was
that,
actually it was the default man.
Come
the
on,
default,
Don.
The deficit man.
Deficit man.
That's me.
How very dare you? No, it's the default man, and it was Grayson Perry, the artist, who wrote an article in the New Statesman, which was just published today, and it's had somewhat of an impact. Basically, the default man is a sort of catch-all term that he's come up with for sort of white middle class,
white male.
Just your white male, but of the sort of upper middle class, maybe it's the sort of lower high class sort of businessman type person,
intellectual,
that kind of thing. I'll just illustrate it though, if you'll allow us the space.
Okay,
Thanks very much.
sorry.
Now shut up. Bye. Default man colonizes the high status, high earning, high power roles. So, I mean, this was a statistic that like really struck me, which is 93% of executive directors in the UK are white men. 77% of Parliament, the decision makers, well, apparently the fucking decision makers in this country are male of that same grouping. It's usually a combination of good education. These are the sort of qualities that default man has. Good education, manners, charm, confidence and sexual attractiveness, or money. It usually
None
means,
of us then.
None of us. Usually means that default man has a strong grip on the keys to power. And a point that really struck us when I was sort of reading this, and really does strike home, and it's kind of linked into what you've just been talking about there, and like what we talked about like sort of Muslims. Like if a Muslim person does something really emotional, you know what I mean, or like strikes out, or is all like, you know, pictured in the sun that we've talked about before, like going mental and just fucking all of that. Well, that's like indicative of all Muslims. Whereas default man, white, middle class, male, all of that, it's just them being passionate as an individual. And that's the key differential of what Grayson Perry was trying to get across.
It is quite funny though. Just to go about the Muslims, but it's the papers like that. So the whole IS sort of thing in the papers is like it's just IS, it's just IS, it's just these particular Muslims. But then it's also the subtext of it's the Muslims. Oh, it's just these Muslims. It's the Muslims. You know what I mean? There's a whole like sort of like tangled thing of trying to try and say
Divide
that
and rule in its fucking truth.
they try and say that it's like it's just this certain section, but subconsciously saying it's actually all of them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think, like, you know, the catch-all term here, and we hear this quite a lot, but it's power and it's privilege. I mean, like, you know, privilege, it's got like within sort of feminist theory, or in other sort of social theories too, is very much about what we describe. And I think, like, for me, it's
white privilege.
White privilege, but Grayson Perry's nailed it completely, and I think that's why it's had such an impact today. Default man, and by default he means like sort of you know, the default power setting. It's epitomised in these like suit wearing fucking shit cunts at the end of the day. Like, they've all got this kind of like, probably went to public school. Like, look at the cabinet. Like, you know, it's pretty much majority male. You know, a lot of them probably were in the same class at school.
The high in a token, whatever. Just
high in a token, like talking to somebody who's got tits. Oh, we'll have to hide that in. Oh, what about that black farmer Gadji? Oh, we'll get him to stand for election. Oh, he didn't get in. Oh, never mind. But he's a Tory. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we'll try that. Oh, we'll get like before she like one of the most mind-blowing resignations for me was Saida Warsi, Baroness Warsi, who during the Gaza conflict resigned and didn't tell them and did it via Twitter, which, like, I absolutely despised that cunt beforehand, right? But I swear to God she did that, and the manner of that she did it, I just thought, bloody hell, she's got an actual heart. She's not a lizard. You know, she's a real person. So fucking big up to you. You obviously a voracious
but I'm
listener.
just getting my head around, is it the default is that it's acceptable for somebody in that with that white privilege, if they make a mistake, then it's just like, you know, it's just them
It's just
being
an
passionate.
Oh,
individual
absolutely, and that's like one of the other
if you-
things
if
he
you-
made a
if-
distinction on,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, if a
It's not
default
like
man.
we've got to sort out these fucking white males in their 80s. You know, there's not like an
It's not straight away. They're not like, oh, we're going to sort out these fucking white middle class males. It's like, oh, it's a rogue element. He was just like,
It's
he was just a loose
individual
cannon.
nutter.
It's an individual nutter. Straight away, and it's like very similar to sort of like in America, you know, when there's like sort of these like high school shooters or fucking all of that caper, and they happen to be white, and it's kind of like, oh, you know, it's a rogue nutter. But if a black person does it, oh, look at all the
endemic
darkies.
problem,
Look at the darkies
Well, that's-
doing this.
that's
Do you
just
know what I
the-
mean?
it's just the
And it's
way-
all of the black people. And it's like kind of, and that's
What he's
that's-
essentially saying is everything's written, and the whole culture is from the perspective of this white male.
Absolutely
Well,
that.
that's every single newspaper. That doesn't
Yeah.
matter, even if it's like the Guardian
Well,
or for the
everything, yeah,
Independent or
everything.
whatever. The world it is, it just revolves around that there might be that those particular middle class people might have a slightly different ideological lookout, whereas the Guardian might be more kind of so-called liberal in inverted market, whereas the other would be more conservative. The right-wing press will be more conservatively in their outlook, or whatever. But ultimately, the whole world, through television, through to newspapers, is just seen through a middle-class lens, as they're the ones who hold most power. It's just reality
absolutely.
of it.
And I mean,
likewise, and it's I'm sure that you've seen all of the stuff that written by Owen Jones. He did that book, The Chav, a few years ago, and again, that's really focuses a lot on that in terms of how newspaper reports or report on the storytelling of, say, I think they use the kind of examples of Madeleine McCann versus what was the name of the girl who was found underneath the inside of the mother pretended that she'd disappeared or whatever.
Yes, in Leeds, West Yorkshire. I know exactly the person you mean. She's working class, very different.
And the way that was done, it was like Scourge of the Earth, and it was
Scourge of the Earth, shit cunts, all of that.
If it's not for that, was one of the things that kind of paved the way for things like sort of Benefit Street and real kind of real anti kind of people on benefits kind of sort of discourse that runs through a lot of the kind of right wing press.
Demonisation of the poor.
Demonisation of the poor, totally. And then on the flip side of it, you've got this kind of Maddie sort of story. But I mean, I'm not saying that the parents have been let off lightly, but there's always it's much more of a what are the it's usually kind of the people that are at fault are usually the police and stuff like that. They're kind of always trying to kind of triumph the fact of the parents looking for Madeleine McCann, and why is this one woman's story being or girl's story being kind of favoured over so many others? Is partly down to the kind of privileged background of the people whose daughter disappeared, even though it is a sad story. It's just
absolutely, and I think there's something that really struck us as well reading the article, and he was talking about sort of identity groups where the word community crops up, and community can mean all things to all groups really, but what he's saying is exactly what you're saying there. The working class, gay people, black people, Muslims, they're always represented by a community leader. However, default man
speaks for himself.
Or
has a spokesperson.
Exactly, or a PR person, and and he's always in the background. He's never in the forefront. There's not people like Lee Jasper, like a black community leader. There's not people like that who can be out there and can be demonised and all of that. There's always some kind of PR person, and we rarely, if ever, hear about white middle class community leaders. However, there's quite a few million of them in this country.
Yeah, and there's also pressure groups and lobbyists, all of which speak from white middle class backgrounds who can protect the interests of other white middle class people as well. There is one solution to all of this, Mike, don't you?
Is that revolution?
Kill the rich.
Kill them.
And then eat them. Eat the rich.
On a slight tangent, I've just been for a piss and noticed Donald's blood all over the stairs, and I've actually done a little cut on my knee. I wonder if it was on the same spot.
I'm not planning to get any more injuries due to the fact I've already got several. So
I thought you were going to say I've just been down the clinic just to have an AIDS test, just because I've seen you smeared and doused your blood everywhere with your cancer AIDS.
I'm sure I could see Ebola just floating around.
Ebola. Now that's something that we haven't really managed to get onto the show, but it segues in nicely because we were going to talk about it. Yes,
come on.
You little
really,
what
is the crack? Ebola for me, right, is this kind of sort of medieval disease that once kind of ruled the scourge of the earth, and it now seems to become like all sort of pandemics, the things that you've got to be really, really scared of in the world, and probably kind of fizzle out of existence in a couple of months' time. One of the things that if you haven't ever a chance to see, one of the best trashy Asian extreme films, thoroughly recommend it, is a film called Ebola Syndrome, which is basically about a kind of Sweeney Todd rapist who decides to put Ebola victims that he's killed and serve them in pies. It's certainly a tantalising watch. Do check that one out.
So is that basically what we're saying about the Ebola shock horror?
What I want to
essentially
say,
it,
I would like to know is about, I haven't read, I have to be honest, I haven't read a lot about what the current state of play is, apart from seeing some ridiculously funny, like, piss take article out of the Mail the other day where it was like Muslim fucking.
Oh, that's Muslim
traders.
spiders spread Ebola on your granny's fucking mind or something.
I think essentially it's bird flu too, isn't it? That's all it is.
I
It's
mean,
just like-
it's like, apart from in Africa
this
where
is
black
this is
people's
gonna
deaths
fucking
don't
kill
count,
them.
there's thousands of them. Do you know what really fucks me off about it before we get on to the other fucking side of it? Right. In Africa, underfunded, under-fucking resourced, there's been thousands
Make
of...
some bloody good songs though in the 1970s and 80s.
Fella Kuti, he was brilliant.
I thought it was Toto, wasn't it?
Swing. But what really,
How
really...
did they get the word
Right,
Kilimanjaro into a song?
Right, can I just stop you
Oh,
there?
that was Serengeti.
I'm not even going to say anything
Sorry,
anymore.
sorry.
Do you know what it is,
Sorry,
right? Do you know what it is? I'll just stop everything here. What I have to tell you, the listeners of 12 fucking rave casualties in some kind of MCAT pit. I hate these people. See, every week I have to fall on my fucking sword to actually even be in the same room as these cunts, and that includes you, Dan, you fucking silent twat. I fucking hate everything about them. But at the end of the day, we're really trying to spread some love on the podcast, so I just thought I'd have to sit with a cunt.
Ebola, Mike.
Ebola.
Thoughts, etc. Thoughts, etc.
No, I actually love them, but I didn't tell them that. It's really pissing us off. It's the usual fucking crack. If on the Dulux colour chart, if you're anything other than pearly white or a nice gloss white for your skirting boards, then your life doesn't matter. So there's thousands of deaths of brown and black people in Africa and sub-Saharan Africa from Ebola. That didn't really hit the fucking current bone of the fucking Daily Shitehawk.
One Spanish person's contract.
One Spanish person and a dog's being euthanized, and it's fucking front page news. Do you know what I mean? If it can bump off let's all hate the Muslims. It depends on what day you want. Shall we look at the fucking African fucking diseases that are getting spread, or shall we hate Muslims today? What's it going to be? What I think they should do is infect a hijab with Ebola and then leave it like the blankets that they used to leave for the fucking Native Americans when they raped that country, all around Birmingham and Scotswood and places like that,
Nice.
And then just fucking infect a lot with Ebola, and then just put the fear of God up all white people. Because that's when a disease actually has made it. When white people have been infected by it, that's when you know it actually means something. Because anybody else doesn't matter. So if you're listening to this, whoever the fuck you happen to be, why are you even still with this period of time? See, if you're white, your life matters, even if you're working class and all that privilege shit we're talking about before. It still matters a hell of a lot more than a higher class Nigerian person in the eyes of these shit cunt media wankers.
If anybody in this room, for instance, got Ebola, we'd be the most famous person in the world for about a week or something.
Absolutely. Even you with that beard.
It's not a beard. It's
You've got it down to some kind of George Michael-esque fucking
Mickey
stubble.
C came into contact with Muslims and therefore has Ebola.
And it's ripped his beard clean off his face. I hadn't even actually noticed. I was just bearding you.
Something about Ebola that was really interesting, but you went on for too long.
It sounds a little bit like Tom Bowler, which used to appear in a Sunderland shirt. Ooh, triangles.
So, lads, question for you. Would you like to talk about football or would you like to talk about spirituality and religion?
Ooh, there's a Faustian pact. Isn't it one and the same thing?
To some, yes.
Whatever you like.
Toss a coin.
I feel like you've sung at the way of the spirituality and religion.
Well, no, I think we should.
I think
it seamlessly goes from Ebola into football, personally.
All right, okay.
Let him do his spirituality bit. Go on.
Well, you do a bit on spirituality, and then we'll do football as well. I mean, people are still with me, I bet. People do actually listen to it, strangely enough. I was really shocked. People are sending us messages going, that was good, and I particularly like this thing. And I was like, you're actually listening to it.
It would help if he shut up so you could get on with it.
Chris Egon Searle, who was asked what he would talk about if he was on Milk the Cow
If
Show.
his name is actually really off the back of Egon Spengler, then fucking God bless you, son.
I would talk about the awakening mentally and spiritually. I would talk mentally. I would talk about awakening mentally and spiritually without the need for religion. Is that something that strikes any resonance with you, lads?
Of course. I mean, I don't follow any particular religion whatsoever. I believe last week when I was detailing my spiritual journey upon the Camino, sort of frame that up ultimately as my relationship with nature and sort of the energy and spirit within that, and how like a lot of the time, talking about I am on Facebook a lot. I'm trying to interact with people. I can feel it starting to come in, and I'm going to go for another nature bath soon. Couple of days, get myself away in the countryside already after only being back about a week, simply because I just cannot fucking deal with this society that we've created.
So when you say like going out in like nature and a nature bath, do you sort of see nature itself as kind of a divine type kind of creation? Is it something that you see in that kind of way?
I believe in a holographic universe, which is ultimately a reciprocal process. So a hologram is made up of a small part. So, for example, within alchemy, it's as above, so below. It was symbolized in certain traditions as like Hermes Trismegistus, where it's like it points up, it points down. Google that shit. We don't want to go too deep on tangents. However, my personal relationship with it, I feel I'm a small part within a larger whole. However, the dichotomy there is I am all things, as are you, as is he, as is everybody listening to this,
Dan?
as is the sound that we make. Dan is
not.
actually not part of it. He doesn't actually like.
So you in your worldview, you believe that you were just kind of part of like one organism, that you're everything.
One ever pulsating organism, as the orb would say, rules from the centre of the ultra world.
Do you do anything or in order to kind of like sort of pervade,
Of
sort
course.
lead that spiritual route? Is there anything that you do, a deity, or is there anything that you do in order to kind of give that sort of spirituality, or do you think that's something?
It's just about sort of attempting wherever possible to project love out, but it's not really out because there's the limitations of language. If I was to project love out to Michael, which I do often, man love. Hot man love, but like just like sort of or anybody, you yourself, Don or Dan, then that bounces back because I am you and you are me. We're just different sort of reflections of the same thing.
So if we're just connected, we're just one big
everything's connected. But within that, it doesn't mean that that we're just passive within it. I don't believe in the principle of destiny where it's all mapped out and you just go with the wave and you're just like this fucking like little thing that like I feel a lot of organised religions it was written like reduces you to. I feel that you can like play an active role within a certain framework that you're mapped out within the hologram. So you can like sort of, it's that sort of whole principle of like, you can play an active part within your own sort of like karmic destiny. So you can, if I was to go and like, right, if I was to pick this fucking e-cig up and go and like choke Mickey with it right now, which I have, I could get up and do it. I could knock this mic out the way, dive on him. I'm not going to. I'm just using an example. I'm not going to do. I love you. I'm not going to do. But I'm going to. If I went and did and choked him, that it would like totally change the whole course of this reality, like quantum leap. Like Sam, you know what I mean? You would jump in like Sam and go, "What are you doing, my cow? Why are you doing this? This isn't the what you're supposed to do in this episode."
Dean Stockwell would be the one who'd be.
It's episode 7 when I meant to choke him with an e-cig. Stay tuned for the death.
Mickey, I think you've got a slightly different take on that.
It's sort of similar, and I think it's fairly similar. I sort of feel that. Do you believe that you've got a soul? I believe you've got a soul and like a higher self.
Do you believe you've got a soul?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. I believe that, and I believe that you sort of. I think your life isn't just your sort of life as you're living it now. It's like your life is like the life of your soul. I don't believe in religion so much as I think it's a lot of rules put onto sort of things that are maybe true. I think there's truth in religions, but I think a lot of it is like just rules and regulations just to sort of keep you sort of down. It's like a half truths, I would say. But I believe that you've got a soul that you would that is constantly trying to get back to the source, which would be love or God or whatever you want to call it. And I believe that like throughout your life, I think you have like more like many lives, maybe as whatever in whatever dimension and whatever, but you're always sort of, your soul is growing and you're trying to sort of, I believe that you're trying to experience certain things so that your soul can grow to get back to where you should be. That's my sort of.
So like you here as a kind of learning experience
It's
to
a
feed
learning-
into the Godhead.
So you might
the
choose certain experiences before you were born. I think there is some level of destiny, but there is also.
So you're
levels
here
of
to like sort of
learning.
learn those lessons, which then
Yeah.
feed up into the ultimate sort of like
And then
truth,
once
the
you-
ultimate
it's sort of like
education
moving-
for all.
You're moving through levels.
I get
You
that.
know what I
It's
mean?
kind of what I'm trying to say, but like the limitations of these the words that we speak, it's hard to really crystallize these things that you just kind of feel.
I can't help but feel that yours, Mickey, sounds a bit more like religion in this fact that you kind
Well,
of sort
fuck
of
off then.
than like in the fact that not necessarily an organised religion. You know, I'm not saying that
It's my religion.
Yeah. I mean, that is. I think that's totally acceptable for people to have them. But I do feel like there's a little bit where I would disagree with it. Is that I feel the idea that you're going to have something beyond where you are now, and that you might lead several lives. I think when you're dead, you're dead. I personally believe it. I believe it.
You
I'm
probably will be.
I think you will be because you believe it. No, that wasn't
No,
me
I
trying to
don't-
diss
I
it. I
don't
do
think
believe that, like,
I
you
don't
know,
actually
you've got
think
like
that.
the ultimate power like resides within you in the seat of the soul, and if you believe that, then it's going to happen.
Yeah,
No,
I think
no, I
I think
don't
a
think
fact.
that
I think
way.
a fact is a fact.
You're not
know,
gonna
and I think
remember this
something- I think when you die, I think the body just breaks away and that's it. For me, spirituality is something that I've like really like long kind of like fought with like within myself to find out what that is. I kind of agree to a certain. I was asked a question a while ago, do I have a soul? And I would have probably said no, because I still kind of assimilated this idea that like a soul was something very kind of to do with like my experiences of having grown up in an organized religion, and that, you know, it was, you know, an inner being that like went on from my body and then lived in an afterlife, or, you know, lived to a higher place afterwards. But I think there's something we use. It might not be the word. It's a bit like you said, oh, you might want to call it love, you might want to call it God. I think there is something that within we, which I would just say is your conscience some ways, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
about like
consciousness, aye.
having no soul is basically where you just fucking, you know, you're fucking your spirit. Sometimes I might use that. It's basically the thing inside you that thrives when you're happy, and something that you feel fucking down when it isn't. And lots of things, external stimuli around us, allow us our soul to feel good and positive about ourselves. So it's just about, for me, it's just about how you inwardly look at who you are, and that like reflects on good or positive back experiences. The thing though I mainly want to focus on though in terms of spirituality is, I think spirituality is nothing more than the effects of interaction with others, and that basically capitalism creates a system whereby we are discouraged from associating with each other unless it's about making money from each other or doing things which involve consumerist exercises to each other, you know.
Totally.
And I think for me, spirituality could involve a knitting club. So it could be a group of women or men, for that matter, who come together every
Stitch
week
and bitch.
and like basically have make some clothes or whatever. And it's not necessarily
Booties.
it's not necessarily like the things that they sew, but it's that time that those
It's like that
people
community sort of thing.
come
Being
together.
creative.
They're coming creative
Aye.
together, and it's about the bonds and the things that they learn from each other, the fact that they share and pass skills amongst one another, the things that then enlighten them, enhance them, that then makes them feel more enriched.
essentially
and tuned in.
knitting isn't the
And
thing.
it isn't them going, oh, it's the difference between you going into a shop and buying a stitched good off another person. That's just the same old consumerist act. But if you're involved in the creation of something together with somebody, and I think that's one of the reasons why football matches, although you do have to pay for a ticket to go into a football match, if you go into a football match and actually watch it and you see it with your friends and the loads of you share that same shared experience in that moment of enjoyment and great and like reflecting on what you've just witnessed and that kind of sheer elation after like a goal's been scored, for me that's a kind of form of spirituality.
Agreed.
It's about things that bring us together. That's why we like raves, although unfortunately in raves we had to use something in order to kind of get to that point. I suppose that's another question, is can you really like reach spirituality if you're having to use something to enhance or alter the experiences of reality? And I think that's up for debate. But I think one of the things is the actual bit of breaking down the barriers and suddenly hugging somebody who you would normally just walk on by on the street is a spiritual act in that, like, it's kind of being brought down. It's sometimes there's a question about whether or not you've had to use something in order for that to happen.
There's something I'd like to bring in there. Finish that point.
And I think,
I'll come in on that, right?
and very, very finally, really, I think that is that one of the big things that capitalism has done. There's a book written on this very, very famous book by, I think, Bill Pullman, called Bowling Alone, and it's basically about like how bowling clubs and loads of other clubs have just disappeared in America, and as a result, there's more people who are more depressed now. There's more people who have mental health issues, and it's just the fact that there are a lack of like associations, clubs, things that we do. the thing that we're doing tonight, lads, is spiritual in its way, and the fact that it brings us together and we learn something from each other, and it's the process involved in it that makes us feel better about each other and about ourselves, and we learn a little bit about everything. For me, so I think to me about spirituality is nothing more than coming together, and that's why when you go to a church and there's fucking 100 parishioners all believing at that one moment in time in the same sort of thing, it's going to bring a feeling of togetherness because they're all believing on that. The where spirituality breaks down though is that it's led by fucking somebody else who's saying, this is what God looks like, these are the deities that you will do,
What
and
God meant to say.
predetermining. And I think for me, if you are going to believe in a God, then do it privately and worship God and how you see them, and not how some fucking paper written thousands of years ago said you should.
You can read you can read stuff in the Bible that sort of says
Can I just explain to the listeners? Don dropped his headphones and Ricky's going, whoa, whoa.
You can read things in the
They
Bible.
can't see us.
you can read stuff in the Bible which I would say is true, like in terms of, and it's the whole thing's misinterpreted, I would say, on lots of different levels, but even on a simple level of like there's sort of passages which say you can't, like God sort of speaking to whoever, I don't know, but saying that you can't actually sort of understand what I am. You know what I mean? You can't visualize me. I can't remember the exact passage, but it says something along them lines as like, and then like the Bible then goes on to try and like visualize what God is, and it's like or maybe the religion does outside of the Bible, but it's like you can't sort of visualize, you can't just make God into like a big bearded man in the sky. That's sort of a way of drawing him in terms of a wise type of an old man who knows stuff, but that's not actually what God would be, you know what I mean? He's not sitting on a cloud. It's like something a lot more than that, which like the Bible had said that you can't actually, don't even try and sort of contemplate what it is, because you can't in this form that you're in, sort of thing. It's sort of like I heard someone say sometime that it was like, imagine you were a two-dimensional object, and then you're trying to sort of understand what a three-dimensional object is. You know what I mean? It's impossible. You can't do it. It's like, because any three-dimensional object coming into your view would just come in as a two-dimensional object. So it's totally out of your realm of fucking understanding. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, just picking up on that, like, there was two things. One was that struck us was like raves. The other one was what you were talking about there. It really boils me piss. And I was at like just before I went away. I can't even remember whether I've talked about this, like with a mic in front of us, but it was like I was at a christening, and it was like a proper like fucking like Protestant sort of thing, and it was kind of like I just sat there and I just felt like I just wanted to burst out and just be me, It was like sort of, you can't possibly fathom what God is, so just sit there and we'll tell you, And it was like, well, no, to be honest, like, I think we can probably bat it around and, like, explore some common threads. And, like, you're a Protestant, but I'm, like, I don't believe in an organised religion, but, it's about good and, like, trying to be nice. And, like, if Don was there, we could talk about, like, how he thinks, like, it's all about, like, sort of communality and, like, raves for sure. Like, before, like, pre-raves, like, did men used to hug each other? Or, like, maybe it's when somebody died.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? You were kind of allowed to. Maybe you were allowed to cry. Whereas, like, we've all cried together. We've hugged together. We've fucking kissed each other on the fucking lips.
I don't like where this is going, to be honest.
Well,
what else have we done?
Hey, I would have...
You don't remember, do you?
There's times I would have remembered the human centipede nights, but unfortunately, I believe somebody slipped Rohypnol in there with the cowies.
The 90s were some blurry times.
They were some crazy
I'm
nights.
glad they're staying that way.
Hey, it wasn't a big fuck fest. It was just like people, like, what changed was cowies came in, and it was kind of like you were given permission to, like, stop being so
Uptight.
so uptight and so, like, sort of 1980s disco and, like, oh God, look at my massive phone, let's all be yuppies and fucking let's all try and be that way.
Fucking love you, like.
I love you, like, honestly, this tune's a pure fucking bella, man. I heard this fucking tune now, man. Honestly, come here. Honestly, I love you so much. Where you from again?
Blythe.
From Blythe.
From Ashton.
I'm from Ashton, from Blythe. I've never met anybody from Ashton before. Is it like up there? Isn't that where Jackie Milburn's a proper belter?
Let's get Mickle
Charles-
Hands.
We've got Mickle Hands. We've got, look at the trailers on me Mickle Hands. Have you seen the trailers on me Mickle Hands?
Give us a hug.
Look, give us one of them hugs.
Give us a hug.
Give us one of your hugs. Honestly, man, I kind of wait to get home and feed me dog and give him a fucking stroke.
Did you hear about that accident at the Sea Life Centre up in Nashington?
No, I didn't know.
No, apparently it was a tail disaster.
I was going to say, is there a sea? Oh, right, aye. But you get what I'm saying? It's like fucking, for us, I mean, we might have got there in the end at different hour, but it was kind of, you know,
We're not at the end.
and nothing else matters.
Right, what's next?
Football crazy.
It's football mad. It's football crazy. Monkey mad.
Yes, what's work happening in the world of football?
Oh, yeah, I was at the Heed match last night. The Heed. Do you want to talk about like all of your Premier League Wonga bullshit first, and then we'll just talk about uplifting
I'll have a-
spiritual.
Just
quick-
get it out of the way.
quick-
I just want to say, actually, just like obviously you can't see it, but like I'm sitting here in like full lycra, and I was talking to Mickey. There was a bit of eye contact, and then he looked down at me fucking package in me fucking lycra.
I can't really see it. The shadow is not really.
Well, there's a
fucking
fucking
showing
chamois
up.
that goes up above your fucking your
Right.
cock, you know.
Okay.
Mickey was like trying to view me cock. It was like do. I think he got a bit geared up with all the fucking hug talk, the hug.
Well, isn't that what
He was just thinking about the hugs.
I don't know what
And then he
it's
wanted to
called.
get me nerd.
I wasn't looking at your cock.
You were he was looking at me cock.
can
I mean,
have it,
it's
okay.
all right. That's what happens when you go through that rave experience. It's all right to look at another gadget's cock. It doesn't have to be sexual.
You
You
can
know
have
what I
that
mean?
fantasy.
Fuck all the spirituality. Isn't that what football's all about, you know?
Well, last night was at the fucking Heed. I'm telling you now.
Lots of cock watching.
Fucking great, man.
What we're doing
Anyway,
now,
carry on, man. Tell us about the Heat.
Just crack on.
Tell us about the Heat.
Fuck's sake.
I tell you now, right? I was away for a month. They played 4 matches. They drew every single one of them 1-1. I went to a match on Saturday. There was a home game last night. We won both of them, and I like to think it's due to my presence in that stand. Projecting love towards Gary Mills, who is effectively my god.
Non-spirituality, we're talking about God.
Non-spirituality. Gary Mills isn't a nonce. How dare you? He's a fucking
Yeah.
what a
We're
man
talking
he
about
is.
football, not God complexes now.
No,
Shall I go on the tune?
I got him.
I watched the tune play Stoke last week. I think when you were away at the time.
I hadn't come back yet.
it
It was
was
like the
just-
night before.
Honestly, it's just fucking. It's just not football, you know. It's just not watchable. And I can't understand why people would fucking turn up and watch that shit. Like, because I mean, I've
It's gotten beyond a joke now. Like,
It's
kind of.
just, it's boring. It's boring. There's no. I'm not like a massive Sack Pardew person, and that's just simply because it's the whole thing's just gone fucking west. You know what I mean? It's just the way the club's been ran from top to bottom. It's just rotten, and you could tell by I thought the performance on the pitch, it was just
Indicative of that
nobody
rotten gangrenous
beyond
shit.
Nobody beyond Toyota really seemed to know what they were fucking supposed to be doing. The defence probably sort of knew what they were supposed to be doing, but couldn't quite do it. And it's just hard to watch. You know what I mean? It's just like I can't understand why people are turning up, and I've got more of an issue with people going to watch the shit than
I
fucking
do too.
actually.
It's not even about that because it's demonstrably utterly rotten.
This-
But the fact that people still go
I know, it's mad.
and soak
I
that
just find it
bullshit up,
mad.
it's crazy.
And I think the Swansea game wasn't much better as well, even though we drew 2 each. I think 2 chances and we've somehow fucking scraped a point out of it. And it's just like, fucking hell, is that what you want?
There's this sackpardew.com website,
Sackpardew,
which I mean, I just can't
that's-
hear. I don't know very much about it, but I have to say that why is it that this guy is continually?
I'll tell you why it is.
they
It's
still
because
here.
people are so fucking reduced by this supposed let's all deify businessmen. Like, why? Right, let's look at it. Why are we deifying businessmen? Because of that default man complex that everybody seems to have adopted. Thanks, Grayson Perry, for fucking absolutely
I don't
nailing
think
that.
anyone in this area is deifying Mike Ashley.
No, I
like,
don't
to
think
be
they
fair.
are, but like, well, if you let us qualify me point,
Go on then.
people are so reduced by his PR bullshit and his apparent untouchableness, like Blofeld living in a fucking hollowed out volcano, fucking, oh, he's a billionaire, what can we do? That's all you fucking hear of these like apparent men, soft cock cunts, I call them, who are just like fucking, oh, what we're gonna do about Mike Ashley? We might as well just keep going like proper little fucking lapdogs, you know what I mean? Exactly what you're saying. Why are people still going? Why are you still blowing smoke up this shit cunt's arse?
Is there any truth in this story? I was hearing from some of the young kids that I work with that they were saying that he basically owes Ashley £1 million, Pardew, or something.
Well, it's one of them.
It's
It's one of
just a
them.
rumour-
It's
is that
like
a
he's
rumour
playing
mill?
cards with them. It's
all-
like,
yes, yeah, and it's
it's
probably,
like.
I think the thing what you find with a tune over the years is like if it's a really bad story, then it's probably fucking true. You know what I mean? Like the worst thing.
And
that
it's
you
probably
think,
worse than you've
it's-
ever thought it could be, yeah.
That usually turns out to be the case with a tune. Like, unfortunately,
I tell you what is, like, you know, on a positive, like last night at the Heed match, now to do with anything else, I was speaking to my nephews, like the first time they'd seen it since I got back off the trek, and they were like, oh, the trek and all that, you know, and they remember from when they were really, really young, when I went away on like when I cycled around Europe and all that, and they were like, oh my God, Uncle Mike
you
Cow.
just cycled around the 80s rock band Europe.
Yeah, I did. But and they were like, oh, you've done something like that again. Why did you do it? And we're talking about it, and then we just got on to like sort of talking about football and all that. And I was like, oh, you come to the Heed match? Oh, you're not. It's too late for you, kind of thing. And like me mum and dad, that I was buy them every season a football strip, and like ever since we came off the potato boat as Irish people, because my surname is really an Irish name. Terrible accent, I know, but leprechauns and all that. But like ever since our 100 years ago when we came over, we've always been. I mean, even on my family for a long time. If you come round to our house, what do you talk about? It's probably football within a few minutes. Usually nonsense, but like latterly, but over the years it's been football. The tune. Now that my nephews are the first
Generation.
the first generation who they were asked, what do you want, like football strip, and both of them said, we want Heed tops.
That's amazing.
No, totally. And I was
cool,
speaking to my youngest nephew, and I says, why do you want that? He says, oh, you know, like Wonga, it's bad and that, you know what I mean? It's not good and all of that. And it was like, I was like sitting there, and I honestly could have knocked us down with a feather. I was like, bloody hell. And I tell you what it is, how positive is that? They'd much rather, like, and I was saying, well, why do you want a Heed top? And he says, oh, well, you know, like, if the money actually means something, if you give it to the Heed, because, like, you know, they haven't got very much money, have they, Uncle Mike Cow? And because that's what they call it, honestly. They haven't got very much money, and you know, it's like it's much better. And like they went down to Wembley like last year, we got beaten, all that. But even within that, they had like a really like good day, and they didn't let it bother them. They've been to a few matches this season, and they keep like looking up when we're jumping around with the daft lads and that. You know what I mean? And like you can tell, oh, I want to be up in the daft lads with Uncle Mike Cow and all that. And it's kind of like how it used to be at the tune. You know, when you used to go, and it was like terraces and all of that when you were young, and you could move about a little bit, and it was like not everybody went. It was like 20,000 at the most, and it was like on a crumbling stand, and like you could turn up and you could stand with your family or your friends, and it was a communal thing. Right back to that communal thing.
It was like a place where you hear your first swear words, wasn't it?
It really was, and it's like that rite of passage.
like
No,
shocked.
exactly that. It's the rite of passage thing for a working class like kid, where you would like be dealt in as a man.
And the pies were a lot nicer than Greg's as well.
They very much were, weren't they? And there
I
was
can actually remember the first swear words I heard at the tune. I can't remember the player it was related to, but it was some bloke who was stood like right next to us that shouted something like, if you cannot catch that lanky streak of piss, you cannot fucking catch anything. And I was like stood, you know, when you were a kid, you were like,
he said piss.
I feel like I was like blowing back into myself, just like, whoa, what was that?
But that's the crack. I mean, we had to like sort of like talk to them before we took them to like Heed matches. You're probably going to hear some naughty words and that. You don't want to be repeating them at school or nothing like that. And I just remember like I had that exact same conversation. And I tell you what it is, right? We didn't even really need to bother at the tune because it's such a sterile sort of piece of bullshit. It's like going to the pictures of gladiators or something. Everybody's sitting there on their hands like they're in a fucking library. Fucking bollocks to that. Get yourself along to the fucking Heed and actually deal like them in like a fucking Geordie bar mitzvah.
So, Milk the Cow, fantasy football, what's happening?
Fantasy football, my friend.
Just skip it. Just fucking skip
No,
it.
never that. I'd just like to like to say there's two things. One, Stu Ranson, you've fallen off the top spot. The entire time I've been away, you've been up there. Unlucky, mate, but you've been canny consistent. Big up to the boxcar racers, Anthony Telfer. That's Anthony Telfer, the new leader of the 50-strong Milk the Cow podcast. No mean feat, my friend. You've done very well. 368 points. I would also like to point out, if I hadn't left Diarmi from Hull on the bench, I would have been third. I'm now fifth. But I do believe there was a small wager between me and your good self there, Sven Adult Books, aka Mickey C. Where are you in the league?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'd start by
To be fair,
saying.
it's a marathon, not a sprint, but usually you're a creepy cunt who just creeps around us all season.
me,
And
well,
some
like-
I've absolutely put.
I'm having a fucking nightmare. I just injuries every
I
week.
have honestly put
5
so
injuries
many.
every week.
And what you really want to fucking be disgusted with yourself. I've been away with limited Wi-Fi, and somehow I'm fucking miles ahead of you in the league. I think your true self has been revealed.
It's just
Do you want to just pay us that tenner now? Do you want to pay us the tenner now, or you know,
after you give us the £6 for them cans, I got you.
call it a draw?
So,
But big up Anthony Telfer, top of the league. It is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm just winding Mickey up. I mean, he could easily beat us. He
probably won't the way
tends
it's
to have a
going,
good
like.
mid-season, so we'll see.
So, Mickey C, to end us off on the show, can you give us something from the Profanosaurus,
Well, I can.
Roger Melly?
Right, well, it's I found one which I laughed at, and it was a jelly hammock. But then that leads you on to drip tray, and I was thinking, well, what the fuck's a jelly hammock?
Well,
Stroke
crack on.
drip
I'm
tray.
desperate for a piss. I would need one about an hour. So,
Let's
you know.
find it. I'm trying to- Drip tray, the often crusty sump in a pair of ladies' dung hampers.
Lovely.
Thanks for that. Brilliant.
And on that bombshell, I'd like to finish off. This has been the 5th podcast from Milk the Cow. Please interact with the Mike.
Proud Mammy Facebook page. There will be loads of new. Well, we're going to relaunch the podcast. The whole crack was like we were going to say people actually listen to it. It appears you are. You sad cunts. But like, thanks for that. We really do appreciate it. We're just joking. So we're going to relaunch it properly. It's going to go on iTunes. There's going to be a new Twitter for the podcast. There's going to be like new
Did you just call
all
everyone
forms of
sad
social
cunts
media.
who are listening to
I
it?
did. It's going to be at sadcuntscowcast.com.
Good advertising.
No, it
It's
is.
like
I did apologise just after. You know, so just bring that back. Nobody listen to us anymore because you're all bastards.
So lots of new ways of interacting with us. Just want to remind everybody about next week. Please come and check us out when there won't be a podcast on next week, but do come down to the Sage Francis Edward Scissortongue gig happening at
The live cast.
happening at 7 o'clock. Tickets still available at RPM and
Not very many, to be honest, though. It's gone well on its way to selling out. Sorry to butt in. It really is.
just
I mean,
Tuesday
I did
night.
put out a fear post earlier because there's only about 80 left. Fear. Oh, loads of people saying they want to come. There was a fear post earlier, and there was actually a few people bought some off the back of the fear post. It's
Thank you,
like,
people.
Thanks for supporting
Thanks for
that
being
night.
fearful.
It's a live cast. It's going to be us actually in a room whilst we watch some of our heroes rap
And
the music.
those of you who can come out on a school night afterwards, having an after party at number 28.
Which will
And
probably
to finish
turn-
us off quite nicely with nothing other than Mr. Sage Francis. This is a song from his new album. This is Copper's Gone, and the song is called Grace. Now remember, we're going to milk this cow.
The best way we know how.